when I was sitting here alone, because it would have been it would have been a terrible recording of me like looking at the screen and then looking at the screen. But how's it going, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. We were in DC last weekend to see Max and Tatiana and Theo.
Oh, awesome. Are they living there now?
Yeah, they got stationed there actually quite a while ago. Max's original base was in New Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, and he enjoyed that for about a month.
And then it was like, okay.
And then I've seen everything. So
in the beginning of nowhere. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Like you remember when everybody was gonna infiltrate Area 51?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when that was going on? Well, he was out there when everybody was saying that, and he's not too far from Area 51.
Wow.
And he was afraid that everybody was going to come and shut down his 2 fast food restaurants.
Or just make them impossible to visit. Yeah, that would be his number one concern, huh? I guess there's worse things that could happen with a attack.
Right.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, guess what happened since the last time we talked?
What's that?
The Chiefs, it turns out.
That is true, yes.
Won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You've heard of this.
It was crazy.
Yeah, we conversed during the winning of that, so I'm sure that you've heard.
I saw a post on, I think it was on Twitter, which I'm not actually on, so I saw a copy of the post somewhere. And and I think it was after we lost to the Raiders on Christmas. And it said, "Watch the Chiefs win it all and make us look like fools."
Well, they were right.
Yeah.
I feel like, honestly, at this point, that Mahomes has reached up and stolen 2 at this point already. Like there was one that Brady kind of stole from Mahomes.
Right.
The Tampa Bay one, well, I mean, I don't know if he stole it. We didn't have an offensive
line. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we weren't prepared to win it. The team wasn't ready to win it. But and then there was one that they just freaking won outright. They were the best team in the league, and there was just absolutely no denying it, no matter how you want to look at it. And then there's the last 2 in a row.
Right.
That I don't feel like we had necessarily the best built team in the league. I feel like it was more like that Mahomes had to put them on his shoulders and go win it, and that various players had to be there that were the best. The defense this year was just freaking phenomenal.
Right.
But and then last year, that one was completely stolen. It was just a matter of some good bounces and Mahomes being the best football players ever lived. In my opinion, it's like, right. So now he's got 3, and 2 of them were basically like the ones that you can't count on, like the lucky ones that you're fortunate to get because somebody could have totally reached up in any of those playoff games or in the AFC championship game, or to have knocked you out.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the last year's Super Bowl against the Eagles was just, the Eagles had that game until the fumble that Bolton recovered, and then it totally changed the complexion, and it was a rebuilding year.
That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly it. When it's a rebuilding year, and with the wide receiver situation, I mean, this year, exactly 2 different years, but with the wide receiver situation, I just have to say that, I think that many of us were 50-50 on Kadarius Toney at the beginning of the year. No, nobody was sure. You shouldn't be sure. But if Andy Reid and the guys are all telling you this guy can be a 1, and
Right.
he came up with some lucky runs, and everyone agrees that he moves different. He is a different cat, like there are things about him that you could be like, oh, maybe that guy is a 1 and he just didn't get used right or wasn't recognized. But when we found out that not only was he not a 1, but neither were any of our other options that we started the season with before the draft, anyone other than our draft choice. Oh, God, why am I drawing a blank? Rice. Yep. Other than Rice, we did not have anyone who was even a 2, And I think
I'm a big fan of Watson, but
he's good.
He's a 3.
He's a 3. Yeah, he's a great 3. I'm happy with him for 3. I don't want him kicked off the team or anything. He's great. Right. Yeah, but yeah, he's a 3. He's a slot, or he's an additional threat, or a really good role player.
Right.
But yeah, he's not a 1, and is really not a 2. Now, if you had a great 1 and you had to go with Watson as your 2, it'd be like, we'll be okay.
Right.
Hello. Welcome to Chiefs Talk. But yeah, totally. And that's exactly why the fact that the wide receiver core was so freaking abysmally awful through the first half of the season. And, no blame that they didn't use Rice more heavily earlier on, because, that's just too much pressure to put on a young guy. It would be... Right. It would put him in a bad position. You can't just be like, hey, listen, you're like probably the best player in your position on the team, so you're just going to have to carry us. You can't do that. Hey, hi there. Welcome to Chiefs Talk. We're talking about the recent Super Bowl. You may have heard of it.
I watched it and everything.
I know you did, because we all texted about it during the game, I think. So
yes, Max is in DC, so there was a whole lot of Baltimore talk.
Oh, that makes sense.
And he just was he could not wait to get to work on Monday, because he had laid it on thick before the game. So
that's awesome. Good for him. I'm glad he did. Oh no!
Yeah, I got the Chiefs on. Apparently, I set the computer down on the way here and didn't bring it to the desk. Foolish.
See, I had everything pulled up. There's one document that I want to have. Not that I still got to wait for Joe, so I'm good. But there's one document I really want to have quickly available.
It was a tight squeeze tonight. Liam had jiu-jitsu, and then we picked up LC's hamburgers on the way home. I forgot how long it takes to get the damn burger there.
That's
it's like I went over there at 6:20 because his class let out at 6:30, and I was like, okay, I'd be good. We'll just grab it, go home. I'll have 20 minutes to eat it. Nope. So it was like I had 20 minutes to get home and eat it, because it took them over 20 minutes to make 2 burgers and fries.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't even like it was that busy either. I don't know what kind of line I was waiting in there.
Where is LC's hamburgers?
It's on Prairie View.
Okay.
Kind of by Gators and where.
It comes up on our DoorDash, and I'm pretty sure we've had it. I remember it being good.
I think that's the original, and then there's like an Express somewhere, and they had one. They had a couple other ones that closed, so maybe they're going down. I hadn't had it in a while, so But still
It was
tastes good.
actually an answer to a trivia question today at work. We did. We have this meeting once a month where, and this is why it's more fun to be in marketing than to be in accounting, by the way.
Don't get me started. I've been staring at the same spreadsheets for like a week.
We have this meeting where we started off just to get everyone kind of loosened up and make sure that we're all having fun so that people don't like yell at each other right off the bat. So we play a game, and today we played Scattergories. Just one round of Scattergories. That's the one where there's a list of like 11 different clues, and you have to come up with a word that starts with whatever letter you roll on the dice. And it was pretty awesome because there was like probably about 16 people in the group, and we came up with the letter L. Not that that particularly matters. And we were split onto teams, and it ended up being that my team won by one freaking point. It was 35-34 on one round. And I felt pretty good about it because I provided 10 points of the 35. It's like, oh, words?
Sometimes you got to carry the team.
Words, we can do words. I like to play with words.
Oh, IT has a lot of fun too. We may not have marketing fun.
I
But
bet. Yeah, you don't play literal board games at work.
I barely talk to people at work. Sometimes, some days it's working remote. I just email back and forth and we chat back and forth on Slack. Text messages mostly, but we can get on calls, but rarely do. And then as long as I can send spreadsheets to answer people's questions, I generally only have to meet once or twice a week with some people.
Really? Well, that is good. In its
Yeah.
own way.
we're
Kinda
gonna
like the library.
I'm gonna hire some more people in my department, and I'm gonna let them work remote. My network guy is leaving. So if you know anybody in Alabama who has a CCNA,
Let me see.
Might be a stretch.
and then we're going to add a security guy and a server administrator.
Well, that's really great that you're actually hiring people, because it's like pretty common to not be hiring people.
Well, they made the decision. We bought a casino in Miami, and we're opening a brand new casino in Chicago. And they decided, instead of expanding corporate, that we would expand the properties. So,
Okay.
So instead of relying on the security guys at corporate or the network guys at corporate, we each get our own.
Well, nice. Very nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. They let go of some people on our nursing side. Basically, it's a publication that we bought, and they do state newsletters and that kind of stuff. Well, they're switching their tactic from state by state to just doing a national one, because it was very labor. To do 50 states worth of newsletters is way different than having one newsletter that you do nationally.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, that is freaking crazy. That would drive me absolutely nuts.
So in order to reduce costs, right? But what's funny is one of the guys that got riffed was it was so crazy. He's only worked there for maybe 8 months, but he works in Liberty. I was like, this place is based out of Denver, and the parent company's in New York, and
Really?
and out of everybody, this dude worked. This sales guy was out of Liberty. It's like, wow, that's crazy. But I never met him. I remember.
How weird.
I remember it came up because one of the sales manager guy asked, "Yeah, are you close to Liberty?" He's like, "I used to work in Liberty."
Did you talk to him on the phone or just email him?
I didn't talk to the guy from Liberty, just his boss.
Okay.
Because I deal with the managers as far as doing forecasts and whatnot on what we're going to. They tell me what they think they're going to book, and I tell them what that probably means for revenue. And then when we get closer to the end of the month, they tell me that their estimations were too high, and I have to bring down revenue, and everyone gets pissed.
We don't. Okay, I'm trying to make sure we don't have Joe already.
Nope.
Yeah, every year at budget season, that I've been at this casino, they're like, it's not like it's going to be in the last years. You got to really watch your spending this year. And then I go to my boss and I'm like, hey, I got to replace these TVs, and they said they're not capital anymore. Okay, buy them. Well, $30,000 worth of TVs. Okay.
You can't cap those?
You can't cap TVs anymore because they're too cheap.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? They are so cheap. Like the one I just put on my wall was $150, man. It's a 55-inch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. You gotta, unless you're getting some 8K resolution bad boys.
Well, we are buying, what are they called? I can't remember. Sign TVs, so they're built to be on all the time.
Mm.
Commercial TVs.
Oh yeah.
But they're still not 8K.
Right.
$8K? Did you say that there's 8K now?
There
Yeah.
is.
I thought 5K was the top.
I think you added a K to the 4K.
It was 4K, now it's 8K.
That's 4K plus 5K.
That's right. They squeeze a little bit more in there for you somehow.
The 5K is the that's what a Mac monitor is 5K.
See, Apple sucks because they can't follow everyone else's,
Exactly. Well, they
they
had
do their own damn thing and no one else can
5K
do.
monitor before the 4K TVs came out, though. So, but they actually don't make those anymore. They don't make the 5K. That was they stopped making them in 2019. Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, give me just a second.
No, we lost Jim.
Yeah. So what's going on, Neil?
We bought a new car. We had to finance it because we were trying to get any incentive, and now I'm looking on how to pay the stupid thing off. Nothing too exciting, really.
Yeah, we just we paid off both of our cars 6 months ago. So
Yeah. Not having a car payment is awesome. So yeah.
Yeah.
Complete waste of money.
Well, I mean, transportation is good to have, but yeah, it's nice to not have that monthly stipend going away. I think we're like $2 or $3 grand away from paying off the house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's funny, because we bought this house in 2005. And then I always just round up every month. Right?
Mhm.
So if it was like 1,100 and change, I'd pay 12.
Right.
I've been doing it forever, and then when we would come into money, I would pay more on the principal and just keep knocking it down. And then we had a bunch, a little bit extra to spendable. Let's just see if we can, chop off a bunch. Like once we got so much in savings, everything we did over that, we were like, okay, let's just keep chopping this thing down. And now it's pretty much done. I overpaid last month, so there was only a couple grand left because I'm waiting for them to reach out to me and say, hey, we need to finalize this crap. Because they're so stupid about having to try to get every stupid little fucking penny. Oh, you close at 8 o'clock, so you owe us 2 hours of interest for those fucking 2 cents. It's I don't know. It's retarded trying to close the fucking thing off, and I'm just like, well, I'll let them reach out to me because this thing's about to be fucking paid off, and then that'd be nice. But what's funny is like we had chopped down our payment by paying extra, and then went from like $1,100 down to $700 a month payment, with the same terms, and then and now like we're done, I'm still paying like because of the escrow, like that's covering the insurance and all that stuff, and that was like over half my payment was just in the insurance and all that crap and taxes.
Taxes are always fun. Yep.
Yeah, I got a little bit credit back on my escrow. I was like, just keep it. I'll next year.
Yeah, right. I know that you would get that monthly, not monthly, but end of the year letter, like, hey, either you need to catch up or whatever. I'm like, or your new payment will be this. I'm just like, whatever it's going to be. I'm going to pay extra anyway. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Joe's not on the treadmill this time.
This isn't workout night, huh, Joe?
Give me the bud.
Yep. The mute button is the hardest thing to find on any of these applications, for sure.
I actually used the press spacebar to talk and forgot.
I actually like that option. That's a great option.
I was running late because I went to the gym, and then I had to cook dinner for the kid because my wife's sick. So.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I just got some great news from my wife. She's got a second job interview coming up next week, so at a place that she really wants to go to for a significant pay increase from the previous job. So
nice,
very good news. Yeah,
so we're gonna say good luck on that.
Appreciate it. I think that I'm just about ready to begin. I literally have like a few seconds more of work that I want to get settled real fast. Just organizing things on my screen. And then I think we're going to be ready to roll. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to do something in the background. It failed.
I've got, speaking of backgrounds, this room hasn't been finished yet, but I'm building a library in here, and I just put together 3 more sets of bookshelves, and that's going to complete the set. So that'll be nice. I do need an extra screen now, though, for sure. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and take over. Is everyone pretty much ready? I don't hear any dissenting voices, so I'm good. I'm good to go. All right, I believe that we had session 0 to create our characters, and that we are now counting the first session we actually played as number 1 to now that we're on session 4. Does that sound right to everybody? It's either 4 or 5, and there's the possibility that I never made a session 4, even though we were on session 4, because I was using the same notes from session 3. So I'm just slightly confused about that, but it doesn't particularly matter either. So let's
however
see.
many recordings you've got, subtract 1.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, actually, I've got a recording of the session 0, and I think as well. And I did start the recording on this one too.
Did you? I didn't hear it go off.
Yeah. Well, it was already rolling when just Casey and I were talking.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to make sure everyone's got their on-screen dice roller up. I've got mine ready to roll. So I'm good. So
No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, I mean, pun intended. I'll admit it. But let me know. Like, just stop me if you're like, whoa. I need a minute. But otherwise, I'm gonna recap. And then I think that there's going to be an opportunity in here for people to get an experience point for a particular thing. But from experience that's already awarded, Has anybody decided where that's been awarded in past games? Has anyone decided where they wanted to allocate any of their experience that they've already earned?
No.
I've got, I think, 4 points at this point saved up, and I'm just saving up for one more. To
Okay.
get 5.
You have a plan, and I like that. That's very accountantly of you. So what I want to do is by next time, I don't want to do like a use it or lose it thing, and certainly it makes sense to have a bank because we might even talk about we haven't talked about having any special rules for like, okay, I've got some points unspent, can I spend a point to have an extra roll because I died or something like that? We've done that in the past, Definitely, I wouldn't allow people to keep more than 2 points for that if we decide to implement it. They'll let me have one more roll. Heck, and I don't think I'd let somebody use those 2 points that way in the same session, because
that's a good idea, and I like it because that kind of takes me back to when we used to play Torg. You'd have like those cards. And like there were certain cards that you could hold on to the end of the session, and you could get like points towards your character for them, or you could play them for rerolls and stuff. So it was like that decision on like, do I build on like, it's almost like freaking like the online games on your phone. Like you can like spend money, you can spend your points and get this temporary gain, or build up for real.
Yeah, I like that, and I think we implemented it one time. It might have been a D&D game that we did or something, but just I think it would help me to be a better game master for people to have the one chance at least at a reroll. Because I talked to Ian a little bit before this game about like, I want to be a better game master and hints and stuff that he could give. Because I think we all know that Ian was pretty freaking fantastic game master. And, one of the things I needed help on was how can I be a little bit more vicious? He's good at that. And I think it'll help me to be like, well, even if I get in a position where I got to let somebody freaking die and I'm not going to fake the dice rolls or anything, it'll make both me and you feel like, well, you still had a chance, even if it's not a great freaking chance. It's like, at least I feel like I've done the one favor. So it'll help me to be a little more realistic, not vicious, but a little more realistic, because I'm too nice, and that's not helpful for games if you guys don't feel like there's any real threat in the world. There's a threat in the world. I'm gonna try and get you guys to use one of those points. So but yeah, let's try to do like I think that having a bank of 5 is probably max. So if you get up past 5 and you haven't figured out where to allocate your points, that we should just be like, okay, you can't earn anymore until you've allocated those. That's all,
Right, or if you have like something specific in mind, I would say like, because there are some things that are going to cost more. So if you explain it like, because I'm trying to save up to buy off one of my limitations that I don't really like very much on my character that hasn't even come up because I've only slept one time. so it's like, you know what, let's just get rid of that because it's not going to add much to my character anyway. And then, but like, yeah, like you're wanting to like build up your strength stat, you're going to need 10 points or more. So like, as long as you could say I'm working that, that's where your points are headed. That would make sense.
Because I was thinking about, I wasn't thinking about actually doing like stat adjustments, but that would be okay. So maybe we should say 10's the max, but I like that idea of saying like, well, yeah, you got to announce it that you're going for a stat adjustment or something. So
well, I mean, even some skills. I mean, every time you try to up your skill, it's exponential practically, I think. So
yeah,
it goes from 1 to 2 to 4 to so like if you're going to continue working
here's what we should do is we'll just say I want to see some of those points used is all. So it's not like a steadfast rule for this whole world and whole from now on, but like for right now, 5's going to be the max, and then that'll be like for the next couple of game sessions, 5's your max, and then after that we'll reset rules and be like, oh, okay, now we've gotten to where we're starting to build the characters and actually use the points and stuff. So
okay, yeah, no,
it's
I mean having a base's
temporary.
fine, and like I wouldn't penalize a character for like not using, like if I like say I get to the end of this session I have 5 or 6 or 7, like say we're not being, but go
True,
ahead
that
and
could
spend the
happen. That
points
could
on
happen.
something. Like say like I'm trying to buy something off, like a penalty or something, like for
Yeah.
5 points. Like say I'll like if I go over my limit, well, okay, well I'll spend 2 or 3 of those points on that, and I've got 2 more to go. Like just so that
Absolutely. Yeah, you've
so that
already kind of like you've
we
put
were
them
kind of like investing them, so we're not
specifically in the
building this
bank for
massive
that.
bank. And all right,
That makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, and then that's just for the next couple of sessions. Yeah, you got to come up with kind of what they're for so that we're heading towards something, because that's going to help me plan better. And I'm really trying to do a better job of planning. So for right now, nobody's changing their characters, and that's fine. I just basically wanted to make sure that the characters that I do have pulled up are equal to what you guys have, other than like a couple of weird things. Like I think Haston at one point took a few hit points of damage, but you probably are you healed up now? Do you know? And it's like the next day.
Yeah.
So,
I don't remember. Like I don't know. I know they don't heal super fast, but I
yeah.
also depends on the severity of the wounds and what type of wounds.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't just superficial, but at the same time, I think you took like 3 points of damage, and you heal like 2 overnight or something like that with full rest. So you'd be like at -1. You know?
I think that's where I'm at. Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the other thing I want to do is like I told you guys, I wanted to be a whole lot better prepared this time around, and make sure that we're all on the same page. So I put together a couple of cheat sheets that I'm using. Like these are in like Skaught terms, so that I can super simplify things. You'll know what I'm following, and that way you'll know that sometimes this is oversimplified, and you'll be like, hold on, I need to insert this because I'm using this weird effect, or I'm using this thing that has a special consideration. So this will let you know what I'm thinking of. So here's how a combat happens: is that action initiates, there's no surprise like we discussed before, and somebody just has a chance to get a shot off, and then if you're being attacked by one of those sort of surprise attacks, or just somebody initiates an attack for whatever reason, you have a chance to react to that with a dodge, block, or parry. You're seeing this sheet I'm showing you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a chance to dodge, block, or parry. Of course, no one's going to have a shield or cloak in this game, but you might have something that you're using in that matter. Parrying requires the weapon skill once per turn, and then you get -4 per attack for parrying additional blows. With dodge, you have no limit to the number of dodges you can attempt. The initial attacker might have another move at the beginning of the next melee. So I put that there for myself because it might feel or seem unfair to you that somebody attacks you, and then I go, okay, let's initiate combat now that you've had a chance to dodge. Oh, guess what? They're faster than you, and they get to attack you again. That can happen. And then there's just this information for me when we get ourselves on a map, and you have people attacking you from the side or the back. You're going to get a -2 to your defense from the side, or -4 when attacking from the back. And the back means literally directly behind the direction you're facing. It doesn't mean, and facing is going to be difficult for us on our maps, but we'll just deal with it, and -2 is like, even if somebody's flanking you slightly from behind, it's not -4, it's just -2. All-out defense is another thing that you can do. You don't have an opportunity to attack in that round. If you do all-out defense, you get +2 to your offense or you can choose to use the best of 2 defense rolls. It's your decision, but you have to call it at the beginning of the round. You can't take +2, miss it, and then you guys know this. And then there's normal combat. So that's like sort of I just gave you guys what happens at the beginning of the round, and then we just go into establish normal combat. It's the same things. There's a list of things that you can do on your turn. You can ready a weapon if you don't have one in your hand already. You can choose to concentrate. That's especially if you're doing something that requires concentration. It's usually used for magical effects, but it could be for something else. You can move your normal move in 1 second, and then oh, here we go. If you move your full move, your attack is at -4. Oh, that's charging. That's charging. Okay. You can attack, you can charge, and when you charge, basically, when you attack, you can take 1 step, you can move 1 space and attack, or you can move your full move, and then you get a -4 to attack, and you can't go further than 9 spaces on the map. There's all out attack, there's aim, there's all out defense, and I've got a few little notes to myself for about what success means and how to deal with damage. I'm going to read those things when I have to make sure I'm keeping on top of things. And then I'm going to keep track of our rounds in this grid that I created here. And if we have combat, I don't know if we're going to have combat in this session or not, but if we do, this is what I'm going to do to keep track of it as an example of the type of thing that I might put in here, and as a reference to what's already happened. I sort of threw in Dumon's attack by the dogs in here. And there you go. It's going to be something like that, and I'm just doing that to make sure that, like, that we're tracking things like 2 HP damage or whatever, so that if we wonder, we can make it happen. And I've got a whole, we could go for a whole long time, and I can add lines to this quickly if I need to. And I'm just going to keep making copies of this thing for whenever we need them. So that's one thing that I needed to show you guys. And then I'm going to stop presenting and share a different sheet, which is firearms combat. These are all things that I created over the last couple of weeks just to make sure that I've got things under control. I've got my basic mechanics written here. I don't want to go over every last detail. And then I've got some common firearms for the era spelled out so that I can reference those if I need to. Just a bunch of notes for myself about what things are, so that I don't have to go searching the internet and spend a long time putting it into game terms. And let's see, do I have one more? I think that's going to get us up to speed with enough of what I put together. Just wanted to let you guys know that I saw how painful it was to do some combat without much preparation, and that I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm making the story move forward a little bit better that way. Okay, so here we are. I am ready to begin the adventure part, does anyone feel like there's any housekeeping or anything that we need to do before I start this? No. Good. Cool. So where we are right now is that you've just entered the midway at the Carnival of Wonders, but I'm going to kind of recap what happened in the last game. You investigated the evacuated carnival grounds in Excelsior Springs. So you saw where the carnival had been before. You found signs of what the Carnival of Wonders might have been shaped like, how big it was, how many tents and carts might have been there, and various clues about what to expect when you go to the real Carnival of Wonders. As a crowning achievement, you even found a likely location where the abductees had been detained, and even footprint evidence. So you did really well there. You learned a lot about the MO of what took place. And I was impressed with that. I was happy that it turned out the way it did. And I'm going to add into my notes real quick here that I also wanted to let you guys know that you noted, somebody said out loud, hey, we made it to a map that you had prepared. That must mean we're on the right track. Not only that, but you skipped over some sidelights and red herrings and maps that I had prepared that you don't need to go to. So I feel like that's a success. Yeah, it sucks for me when I prepared stuff that I didn't end up having to show you, but at the same time, it's actually great that you got past that and you have all the information pretty much that you would have had that's of great value, just going the right way. So then you guys made your way to Excelsior Springs, the carnival's new location, for a week or two. And you investigated the main entry area with its mysterious shops and questionably magical minor attractions. And this is where we have a chance for you guys to earn another experience point or two. What did you find before you reached the midway, before you went through the ticket booths? Like that's where we stopped. You kind of went through the ticket booths and we stopped. What did you guys see that was of note, or that you remember? Haston, do you have anything to add? I'm picking on you because you're top left.
We did stumble across some shrunken heads that seemed to be real shrunken heads.
Real shrunken heads? That's right.
And everyone seems to be having a reaction to the air. Some sort of
absolutely. What about you, Neil? Did you?
I mean, Payson has a lot of it with the effect that everybody's encountering and everybody's buzzed. We saw some tea stands, some other kind of odd stands, but I don't know yet. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens.
Very good point. There were tea stands. That is actually, definitely worthy of note. I'm trying to make my notes look like good notes. Damn it. There we go. And that brings me to Cooper. Do you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Well, me and Hasten were kind of joined at the hip for most of that. I mean, there were other stores that really weren't of much consequence, like the super duper expensive candy store that cost more for candy than I think they did for the turkey legs. So
expensive candy store, turkey legs.
Right. Spied ahead and kind of got a layout of where the big top was so that we knew kind of where the main attraction was going to be.
Oh, that's true. Actually, that's an important note that once you entered, you were able to see where the big top is.
Yeah, we were just trying to use our bearings from what the layout kind of seemed from the skeleton of Excelsior Springs to where things would be kind of positioned here in Liberty. So
awesome. And Q or Professor Vitti, what do you have anything you want to add? It's great to go last because everyone's always taking the easy ones. Oh no, you're muted. Oh no, you're not. You got it.
They pretty much covered everything, but we, like Neil said, they've been burning some interesting herbs that seem to be having a pretty much universal effect, even on the the workers, which was surprising. I kind of thought originally that it was a way for them to kind of lower inhibitions, get people spending money, but it seems like the workers, the people visiting, everyone's being affected by the herbs they're burning in the tents. So
I like it. I like it. And I think that's enough unless anyone has anything else that they want to pipe in with.
I was thinking my character wants to buy a balloon.
A balloon. Did we see balloons?
I don't know.
I don't recall it, but who knows?
I am going to
a
double check.
single red balloon.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Now I'm starting to put this together. I remember. Okay. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. For this, I'm going to award you guys each a point for each thing that I would call a separate observation worth bringing up, you know. So for Dumont, I'm going to give you 2 points. One for recalling that there were real shrunken heads that appeared to be real even upon examination at one of the entry booths, and that you were the first to mention that everyone had a reaction to the air there. So that's 2 points. Grim, you said everyone's buzzed, you know, which is a reaction to the air. And there wasn't anything particularly specifically different, so I'm not going to give a point on that one. But mentioning the T stands, I think, is totally new information and valuable. I'm going to give you a point for mentioning the T stands that stuck out to you. I'm going to go to Finn, and you talked about the expensive candy store, which was something that you all saw, and it's an interesting sight there. Remember that, yes, indeed, there were turkey legs. That's another thing. And I do think it's an important point that once you got right through those ticket gates, you were able to identify the tops of the big top. So depending on your elevation, there are things that you can see around you. So that's actually 3 different things. And then Q, you said they were burning interesting herbs. Now, that's exactly true. They were burning some of these herbs, and they were herbs. That's one thing. It's not just that they were, some of them were just out in the air, and it's just sort of like the growing things, and it's the air blowing across the dried things, but the burning them is a separate detail. And it's also a separate detail that it seems to have a universal effect, that it's not focused on someone in particular, and that it's pervasive in the area. It's not like they're aiming the smoke, like staying upwind from it or anything. So that's 2 different things. I'm going to award you 2 points for that. Good stuff. I like it. And I feel like we've got a pretty good idea of where you guys are. You've just gone through those ticket booths. I'm going to call up that map again here very soon. And finally, you made your way to the midway at the Carnival of Wonders, realizing that you are all nearly overcome with the intoxicating botanical aromas all around you. You can provide, okay, who can provide the number of successes and failures that they tracked for their character? Hopefully everybody. Does anyone have the luck or willful fortitude to compare with Professor Solomon Dumont? Because I think Dumont had like a ridiculous number of successes.
Yes, I was successful every time.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I failed the last one. So.
Yeah, I failed. I know I failed one. I don't remember failing a second one, so I'll let you. if you know that I did, then tell me that I did.
Okay. Okay.
I failed one also.
So okay, so we've got Dumont 0. Just wanting to make sure I get these all in here.
I think Ian failed them all.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, I
right.
think he was the taking it all in for all of us.
Who was it that failed them all, Ian?
Ian.
Yeah, I
Ian,
think so.
Ian,
I think so. Yeah.
Obviously.
So
Damn.
maybe that's why he's out this session, because dude is
Exactly.
high on life and botanicals.
So,
We'll have to carry him around.
so the others just think you only failed one each?
Yeah.
All I remember failing.
Okay. I was thinking that most people had failed 2, but we can operate under this. Let's see. We got Q.
You can make me roll again. I'm sure I'll fail that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we are going to have one more roll before actually we move forward. But okay. So right now, I've got everyone's numbers written down. Danforth is still there with you, but yeah, he's got seems to have a lower threshold for this kind of thing, and you can all see him acting a little bit funny. Okay.
And I had given everyone turkey legs. I did end up buying everyone those. So just making sure everyone is appreciative of the food.
That's right. That does help. Eating is good for people in these circumstances. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're just going against your willpower, but Grim, Q, and Finn all need to beat their willpower by at least 2 at on this roll, and let me know whether or not you did. So Hastings / Dumont, go ahead and give me your roll first. I need to see the chat. I don't. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. Okay, so you're at 11, and then I do have your character sheet pulled up, but you can. That's gonna be you're gonna get that, right? Yeah.
My will is 12, so
Yeah, you're good. Okay, so you're still golden. Grim, what do you? Oh, okay. I'm seeing your rolls here now, right? Or no? I just see.
You're not seeing mine.
I see Joe. Go ahead and give me your roll.
Rolled a 13. My willpower's 11.
Okay. I'm going to adjust you,
2 down.
and then I'm going to go ahead and roll for Danforth again, real quick, just because he's on my screen here. Did I do it or?
So I made it back 2. Exactly.
Okay, great. So Q's at this once. I'm trying to roll here, and I thought I was good. Oh, there we go. I just have to put a character in.
Yeah, you always have to do something. You have to click into it and do something, and then it'll let you send.
So I was just trying to make my stuff work. This roll doesn't count, so don't count it against me
Okay, that's fine.
because it's a 5.
Count it against you. Oh, that's okay. Did I get Joe? Joe,
He's
yeah.
saving that for his next roll.
He just rolled for me. That was my 5.
Yeah. Do it. Oh, I'm waiting for you, aren't I? Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, I was just waiting for you to call me out. So
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
did it not send? Oh, there it is. What did I get? Oh, I made it by 6. Nice.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So Finn. All right. And I guess that takes us to, well, Q, you rolled up here and you got a 13. You said that's successful because you were only at -1. You're right on, aren't you? Don't you have 14?
I have a 13. I rolled 11. So
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wrong one. I apologize. I was looking at the one I rolled for Danforth. You rolled a 13 Will is 13. You rolled an 11. Okay, got it. See it. Okay. So I have everyone recorded here. Here's what I'm going to do. Right now, everyone with the exception of, okay, not with any exception, everyone's going to be operating at some sort of a reduced ability in the capacity of willpower, because you've been in this situation for several minutes, like we're actually for probably 20 or 30 minutes of kind of wandering around the entry area, examining things, talking to the guy with the wands and the shrunken heads, buying your tickets, all the things that you've done amongst these. So I'm going to give everyone a doubling of what your rolls brought you to. And for Dumont, I am only going to give you the -1, just the very first -1. So that's what everyone's operating at. Dumont at -1. Grim is at -4. Danforth, I'll go ahead and record it so that if Ian needs to know this next week, is at -6. Q and Finn are both at -2. And this is basically going to go against your willpower rolls. There might be special occasions where it's against an IQ roll or something like that. So you can kind of associate like that, what kind of a mental state you feel like it's putting you in. And just to recall, your opportunity to avoid this was to get out of the situation. Like if you were going to, okay, guys, this is not something I'm willing to be incapacitated by or to take a risk on, and you decided to actually head out. You could have done that, but you've got an investigation to do. So I think let's see. Each is in time. Huh? And I'm back into the notes. And here's what it's going to be. There's going to be an additional -1 for your character on this roll at given time increments. It's not going to be every few seconds. It's not going to be every few minutes, but it's going to be a time that's less than an hour for sure. So you still know that you're in an area that eventually, if you were to hang out here long enough, it would be like similar to like, hey, I've got a really great tolerance for whiskey. I can drink as much whiskey as I want. But if you get past like your fourth or fifth bottle, it doesn't matter who you are. Okay. So that's the situation you're in. I know the number of minutes that it's going to take for that to happen. And the last thing that I need to know before you guys get to sort of start looking around here on the map and deciding what's going to happen next is, does anybody have any unconcealed weapons on their person? So, hey, Haston, Dumont, do you have any unconcealed weapons?
Unconcealed, no. I am carrying the pistol after the dog incident, but nothing unconcealed. And there's a rifle in the car.
Okay. And where is the pistol on your person?
Just on the hip.
Okay. Like sort of stuck in a belt or
yeah. It's got a holster and
holster under the coat type thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And Neil, for Grim, does he have any unconcealed weapons on him?
No.
Okay. And what about concealed weapons?
Pistol on the hip also.
Okay. Father Finn, are you packing?
I'm packing a Bible and a cross, buddy.
Oh boy. Everybody watch out. Is the cross considered a ranged weapon?
It's by sight. So.
Oh yeah. And how about you, Q? Do you have any concealed weapons?
Yeah. There's actually a holdout skill, so I was rolling against it. But yeah, I have a concealed holster with a Walther PPK in it.
Oh, awesome. Very James Bond of you. I like this. And so is that on the breast or is that on the hip?
Small of the back.
Small of the back. Very cool. So it's kind of like you reach back like that. Is that how that works? Very nice. Okay. I'm just making sure that I've got a good picture of who's got what. I did not have a chance to interview Ian about this question, but we're going to assume, since the other two characters that are packing have their weapon on their hip, that he's going to have the same for now, because that just makes it easier. I'm sure that he would be better prepared than I am, but that's just how it's going to work.
Actually, I think he had his under his arm.
Under the arm.
I think he had mentioned that before.
Okay. I think I can remember that for the next 2.5 hours. Good. Or 2.5? Yeah, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Awesome. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call up the map for you guys to get a better visual again. Love it. It's so difficult to decide how big to make this map because it keeps popping back into its window. If I change sizes, we just have to kind of deal with it. Okay. Share. I'm going to look at what that looks like to you guys over here real quick. Pretty cool. I can dig on that. I like it. Okay. So here we have Danforth, Q, Father Finn, Grimm, and Dumont just inside the ticket taker's booth. You can see my mouse moving too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wanted to make sure that I wasn't pointing at things and you couldn't tell. The air is filled with the smell of popcorn and cotton candy and something a bit more unsettling. You've been battling for mental stability amongst the aromas of intoxicating florals and spicy botanicals that threaten to send you into a daydream state that you're all trying to avoid. The sound of laughter cascades from the games nearby and the Ferris wheel directly before you. The carnival workers move with a practiced ease, but there's a guardedness to them, their eyes darting around, even though they're in this subliminal state. It's as if they're watching for something or someone. And I'm going to point out just some of the things that are right around you. To the right of you, you can see a sign over the Hall of Mirrors. You've seen that there's a fighting arena somewhere nearby behind this entry wagon. There's something called the Vanishing Knives. The Dreamcatcher is the name of the giant Ferris wheel, which is probably the biggest most of you have seen at any kind of a carnival or anything like that. It's I would say something like 5 stories tall. That seems about right, 50, 60 feet in the air. The Aether Orchestra is the sign over here. The Eternal Echoes, you can't really make out necessarily all of that. And then you do see that there's a barrier over here. And there are people milling about all over. I'm going to allow all of you to sort of make a perception check, because I know that we're all on the same mission here, just to see if you catch anything right off the bat. And I'm going to start on the other side now, just because I don't want to constantly pick on Dumont all the time. So this time now it says 2 others. That doesn't work. This time I'm starting with Cooper. How the perception goes for you. You're just looking for clues here. Anything you want to use for that other than perception, let me know. Okay. Perception base. That means that you made it by 8, right? What am I?
Yeah, I rolled a 5.
You rolled a 5.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that. It just says what you made it by. Okay.
Right. Well, yeah, I take the 5, then I subtract my base, and it tells me whether I got it or.
No, that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that I was like understanding what I'm looking at.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty freaking fantastic roll, honestly, and 8's a little bit under average. And whoops. Oh, I need to be on this screen. So you're going to notice. Are you wanting to keep anything close to the vest, or do you feel like you're going to kind of whisper or anything that you notice of note to everyone around you?
I mean, I'll make sure that I disseminate. If I'm discreet, it's so that people that aren't us don't hear us. But like between this group, I'm
you don't mind me saying it out loud at least.
Nope. Yeah,
That's all. Yeah. So you're going to notice that there are a couple of children over by the ball toss over here that seem to be kind of darting their eyes around in a similar way as I described as some of the carnival workers. Like they're being rather observant for the state that everyone seems to be in. And it just calls them out as being a little bit different that way. Go ahead, Hugh, you're next in the queue. Why don't you go ahead and give it a roll as well here?
5 was a good number.
Very nice. I don't have your character sheet. Hold up. I wish we did all have it set up the way that Cooper did. We should do that in the future. Q has a perception of 14. So that is also pretty fantastic. So you notice this right away as well before Father Fenn has to even point anything out. And what I'll say that you notice maybe a little bit extra is that there's sort of a protective demeanor between. There's a boy and a girl acting that way, and the boy seems to act a little bit protective of that girl that he's standing next to at the ring toss.
They don't look like the boy and girl we're looking for, do they?
Very good question. They don't look exactly like them. No, they look like separate people. You wouldn't mistake them for the same boy and girl. No.
Dang, I thought we cracked this case and we're done.
Man, this was easy. Somebody should have gone to the carnival in the next place. What were they thinking? So, Grim, go ahead and make that perception check, and I'll see if there's anything else that you can detect about that.
So
I rolled a
are they
10.
similar age to the kids we're looking for, though?
Yeah, I would say that. You would say that you're looking at kids that are around like the 10, 11, 12-year-old range, probably towards the young end of that. Yeah.
Okay. So I made it by 2, but I think doesn't your overall negative that you assigned to us for this game session apply?
That's true. It does.
So I missed it by 2.
Yeah. Well, you just didn't make it then, right? You just barely missed. Yeah. Yep. So that's about all you get then, and we'll give Professor Dumont a shot at this. He only has the -1.
I missed it by 1.
Okay. So that's what you have so far to go by. And I'm going to give you all a chance to sort of let me know what it is you think you're doing. And I'll give you a couple minutes to decide what you want to do next before I tell you any action that goes on around you. Let me know.
I'm still trying to find something balloon-like.
That's right. Yes. There are going to be balloons across from the floating carousel. There's a man standing right in this area, sort of wandering back and forth with just 50, 60 balloons. I mean, he's not going to float away, but he's got more balloons than you could believe. And many of them are huge, large balloons.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get a balloon.
Okay. We can do that. So Dumont is not going to be impeded by anybody. He's walking this way. Why don't you go ahead and make one more perception check as you're heading this direction?
Since I'm kind of out of it anyway, I'm just going to follow somebody walking. So I'll follow Dave.
You can do that.
That one I made right on.
Okay. You are a little bit suspicious, actually, of, oh gosh, don't let that happen. I didn't know where that was going to be. You're a little bit suspicious of a guy that you see standing here, just kind of looking off that direction. I'm also trying to grab Graham. And, oh, that's going to be a problem. I need to find how to grab Grim.
I'm near Dave. It's close enough.
Well, it's making me. Oh! I know what happened. I know what happened. It's gotta be. That's it. That's it. Okay. Just a little bookkeeping over here in my other window. Because I'll get really confused if I don't get this right. You're killing me. Oh no. I had you lit up there, didn't I? There he is. Okay. That's Grim.
It's because you're using a Mac.
That's why. Macs never get anything right. There we go. I finally got hold of Grim. Okay, you're heading this way. You observe that, and you're going to you're heading over to a gentleman that's over in this direction. Kind of a scrubby looking older man with a lot of like overgrown stubble, selling balloons over in this area, and you'll be able to do that very soon. Grim is following along that direction as well. Danforth sort of covers his face with his hands and rubs his face during this time. Who's over here next? I'm going to go with Father Finn. What actions are you taking right now?
I'm going to also, I mean, wherever we go, we might as well kind of stick together-ish. I'll trail behind them a bit, but I'm trying to keep those kids in my peripheral and monitor kind of like their behavior, and also trying to keep an eye on, see if other people are paying attention or keeping an eye on them as well.
What do you think about this?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't mind lagging behind, and
okay,
I can like observe the fighting arena, look back at the bald sauce, keep an eye on the kids, and I'm sure there's other kids, but since those seem to be a little less affected by what's going on, that's of note.
And Q, what are you trying to do here?
I'm going to follow Grim.
Okay, are you going to keep up with him, or are you going to be in between, or are you going to be with Father Finn?
I'll lag just behind Grim.
Okay. You're heading this direction. So as you go by, I'm going to give you just a little bit more description of the first thing that pretty much everybody passes here is that ball toss. But I've got more to say about that later. So I'm going to tell you about the Hall of Mirrors on your right. Um, there's sort of a little sign there that says next to Hall of Mirrors over the entrance to this canvas tent, see your past, see your future, see alternate realities. And you keep on walking past that. You're also going to see the fighting arena over there. Its sign says, test your strength, agility, and ability. James Gatz, the conqueror, is man enough to destroy you and all that you hold dear. There's a guy standing in the middle of this ring that you see here, sort of a ring that spectators can stand against, and a few are. And you know, it's not crowded there or anything. You have no trouble making your way through the crowd, but there's probably about 7-8 people standing there, and he's shouting towards them, and he's pounding his chest. And I'm going to give another opportunity to Finn, because you're kind of right there with the spectators. You're just the negative that you have for your current mental state. And let me know what you roll there. I guess you can't help but let me know.
Right. I know we're doing perception then.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be, where is it scrolled?
Made it by 1, but that's without fires.
But I had a penalty of 2, so yeah, I missed it by 1.
Okay. We're just going to let it go. And Q, I'm going to give you an additional -2 because you're not as focused or as near, but you're in the range of where you might be able to perceive this as well when it's happening.
Oh no.
Wow.
Is it a critical failure?
He might have gone blind.
Rolled all 6s.
Wow.
I am watching Grimm's back. Poorly.
So what
I lost
ends up
Grimm.
what ends up happening is that Q is kind of following behind Grimm, but then wonders what happened to he wonders what happened to Finn. Like, why is Finn not following? And kind of like walks backwards for a few steps and ends up bumping into somebody, and it's a young lady, and she falls over when he hits her, and he's knocked her down, and the young man that's with her, you know, he's in that same sort of a groggy state, but he starts to sort of confront Q. It looks like he might be a little bit upset with you. Hey, what's the problem, mister?
I am so sorry. Completely my fault. I was not watching where I was going.
Yeah, you bet it is.
All
He's got
these
his
sights are
eyes
so distracting.
That couple is standing there sort of between Grim and Q. He hasn't made any immediate advance towards you. You see he's kind of groggy, and you can kind of continue to move on. We're just going to keep going. They didn't seem to need to attack over the incident. But yeah, he picks up his girlfriend there off the ground and helps brush her off, and he's giving you the mean stare. Looking for Dumont. All right.
I will turn to her and say, I'm so sorry, young lady.
She kind of says, it's okay. It's okay. I think that's a good way to deal with this. Do you have any kind of I don't know what would be the right kind of thing to use here. Maybe just an IQ roll with the negatives applied that you have right now.
Diplomacy or fast talk?
Diplomacy, or yeah, fast talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll give you instead of the full negatives, I'll give you just half the negatives if you're going to use a skill that's more specific like that. You got a 12.
Fast talk is 13, so
And what's your negative here? I think you're at a -2, so you barely missed it. Fortunately, you, you're still getting the mean side-eyed stare here as you're able to walk away. But I think that really what's working to your advantage is just the fact that they're in the same predicament that you are. They're also kind of like maybe a little extra forgiving. So you made it by based on that roll. I'm gonna catch Danforth up with you guys just a little bit. Being a very good game master. And I'm gonna let Q move forward a little bit. So this is kind of where you're at. And Dumont, you're gonna run. You're running into. Are you trying to move any further here, Father Finn? I don't want to stick you in the back of the crowd. If you wanted to move closer, you could get up
Right,
to.
no, but I am trying to keep them in my sight. So, I mean, but I can always look back and
Yeah.
stuff. But you can put me up with Danforth there.
So to get you over here towards this end of the fighting
Yeah.
ring. Okay. Got it. Okay. So Dumont, you walk up to the man saying, "Balloons, balloons, two
Yeah,
tickets
I'm gonna try to find the biggest balloon. I assume they're probably all about the same size, but
Yeah. Some of them have been stretched a little bit more. You're looking at if you can see my hands here, you're looking at one of those balloons. It's like probably well, quite a bit bigger than your head, but maybe a foot across or so. And that's kind of the standard. You spend a little bit of time trying to select the biggest one. It turns out that one is pink, so not ideal. But you can select one that you feel like has like more than a cubic foot of air in it to try and give you an idea how big it is. You said you were looking for the biggest one. That's what you find.
okay.
A couple of tickets for that.
All right, I will produce those tickets.
Okay. Great selection, sir.
Thank you.
And he gives you kind of a sidelong glance, trying to figure out what a grown man wants with a balloon. But he doesn't say anything about it. Balloons, 2 tickets a balloon. You didn't want an extra, did you?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to let everybody have a chance to sort of notice the ensuing motion. I'm going to give a lot. You know what? There's some motion going on around you. Some more active than others. I'm going to give a round again here because while Dumont is taking care of that business, Grim, what are you doing or paying attention to or trying to accomplish?
I'm just kind of looking around right now, trying to see if some people are less affected by this than others. Though, as affected as I am, it's going to be kind of hard.
Okay.
I'm going to try to see if maybe they're doing something specific to fight the intoxicating aroma.
Okay. I'm trying to remember who all you didn't. Okay. So go ahead and give me that perception check to go with that attempt.
9. Perception's 12. So
okay, and you're only at a -4. You're in a -4, so you just barely missed it by 1 there. I'm going to say that you do notice sort of a flurry of motion towards the north.
I will look that way.
Okay. For this, but yeah, all you're like, what the heck was that? And then I'm going to move on to Q. What are you doing while Dumont's spying his balloon?
sorry, I'm trying to see how close. Is he next to the 4?
This is where you are. I think that I can sneak in just a little bit more here, to make it a little clearer. Yeah, that works. Yeah, so you're right here. And Dumont and the Balloon Man are over here. So yeah, not very far away.
I'm just watching his back then.
Okay, that's what Q is doing. I'm going to give you a perception check. You said that you're operating at -2 at this point. Q -2. So this roll you're going to need to make by 4 for just a normal perception check. It would have been -2, but you've got a -2, so you have a total of -4 to make this perception check. And you're at a 9. And your perception
14 though.
14. So you're gonna hit this, and you're gonna realize. So you're trying to watch Dumont's back over here, but you see Grimm like flash his eyes over in this direction, and you notice that this fellow that kind of just seems to be it seemed to be like almost trying to conceal himself around the back of the dream catcher, and be looking off this direction, and that he's sort of started to walk this way and still seems rather intent on some sort of a target over this direction. I'm gonna give
I'll make sure he's not after the kids.
it's totally seems like he might be after those kids. Yeah, it does. I'm going to describe this fellow for you because you've really taken note of him now. He is an African American fellow. He's an average height, fairly skinny, very sort of a attractive looking fellow, except for this one strange thing that doesn't go with all of the rest about him, is that his hair is just absolutely wild, sticking out in crazy directions, not like it's an afro that's well kempt or something, and it's just like absolutely insane hair sticking out from under a top hat. So there's a top hat on top of that, which kind of calls attention to himself in that way. And then everything else about him is dressed to the nines. He's wearing a pinstriped suit. And you'll even notice that you get the impression that this suit is so well crafted that the pinstripes where it's sewn together at the shoulder meet perfectly. There's not like a spot where the pinstripes discontinue and they start again on the other side of the seam. It's just like the guy looks absolutely perfect except for that crazy hair. Yeah, and he's heading that direction and is nearing them. And I'm going to move Danforth as well. At this point, I'm going to give him a shot to do what he's thinking of. He's still kind of like shaking his head, and trying. You can tell that he's trying to kind of fight off the effects of what's occurring, but at the same time, he's got a smile on his face, so he doesn't seem terribly upset. And you do see he starts to take a step, like he's following the rest of the party, and then as this guy is passing him, he just sort of slowly turns and looks that way, and then turns back around to you guys. And I think that Father Finn, you're the only one who hasn't had a chance to take an action during this round, isn't that right? I think that I need to get to you. What are you up to now?
No. I've been monitoring the kids the whole time, so I would assume that I'm catching on to this, unless you need me to.
Yeah,
make a
if
roll
you're
for
making
it.
that direct observation, you're gonna see it. Yeah.
So what I would do though is I see this guy's intercept, and those two kids aren't black, right? I didn't think so. I didn't.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, he's
like,
a black fellow, and they're white kids, not the ones that you saw before. Did the map just go away for everyone else?
Yeah.
Okay,
There you
I got it back. Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to I'm watching him, and I'm gonna basically kind of face that direction in case I need to move that way. But also try to monitor his kind of like body language to see if I can gather an intent of what he's about to do, or if he has any kind of intent at all.
Right. Well, what you end up seeing there is that these children are noticing him as well. Particularly the young boy. The young boy seems maybe more alert than anyone else around. And then the girl with him seems pretty similar to everyone else, but he actually reaches out and kind of grabs her by the arm and starts to pull her around to this other side of the ball toss as this guy's advancing. They look a little bit
Does that look like it's in response to him advancing on them?
yes.
I'm going to follow him, and as I do, I'm going to reach inside my jacket and grab one of my vials and pop it in my mouth. And
Yeah.
it's a universal antidote that will basically get rid of the negatives I'm experiencing currently and make me immune for about an hour.
Yes. I like this move. This is very interesting. Okay. So Q takes action. Things are still are all starting to move this direction in that way.
Yeah, my plan isn't to just stand there and watch, so I'll start walking that direction too. But like I said, I'm trying because I'm trying to gather this guy's intent by looking at him. So I do have body language. So if
oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and make that roll.
Let me see what my skill level is in that.
And I think that's probably going to be intelligence based.
Yeah, it's a perception. So I got a 12 in that.
Okay.
So skill base 12.
That's actually one of my key skills. So
I made that by 1.
But with your current negatives, you're going to be maybe unsure of yourself still. You're not seeing anything that makes you think that he's not after these kids by any means, but you can't tell whether he's who knows. You're like, oh, maybe he's their guardian and has located them.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe those kids are kids of the carnival and he works here too. So yeah, I mean, I've got all kinds of ideas, but yeah, I was just trying to see if I could gather anything. So
yeah,
I'm gonna stay close so I can be actionable, but I'm not gonna be up his ass.
Right. Makes sense. And I'm going to go ahead and does anyone else have a specific move they want to make? I guess everybody probably does. So I'm going to go. I still got. I feel like Q just moved. Dumont has been stranded over here for a while without a move. So Dumont, what's your current action?
I'm trying to untie the balloon to release the helium that's in it. And if I catch on that everybody's kind of moving back, I'm going to try to walk and untie at the same time.
Okay. That can be actually fairly difficult to do. Not impossible. So why don't you go ahead and you can either make your dexterity skill at you can move half your speed and make your dexterity skill straight up and be able to untie that balloon.
Okay.
And we're going to call basically the width of your character tiles is all about the same intentionally because that's going to be like a 1 speed movement. And if you can't, then you're going to get if you stand still, you're making it straight up, or you can move up to half. If you want to move your full speed, you're going to get I'm going to say a -3, not a -4, but just a -3 to try and to your dexterity to try and untie that.
I failed.
Well, there we go. Oops. I'm gonna, but were you trying to move or not?
I was trying to move.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and move you 4 here. Dumont. Okay. And at this point, this isn't exactly combat here that we're in. But it's an action scenario, and I want to very soon establish, like, by basic move, what order we should all be going in here. So I'm going to fill out that sheet real quick, just in case this turns into something, because I can tell you guys are, I don't know if you're going to make an attack or something, or try to intervene physically here at any point. So let's start here. I'm going to just look at the character sheets to get this perfectly straight. Danforth has a basic move, a basic speed, basic move of 5. Father Finn, I've got you with a basic move of 5. Grim,
5.
5. Q, looking 5. Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. And
We didn't have enough points to make it better.
Dumont 5. So everyone's got a 5. So then I'm going to go to dexterity after that. Danforth has a 12, so I'm going to, he'd be above some folks. Finn has a 10. Grim has a 12, so Danforth and Finn, or Danforth and Grim both have 12. Finn has.
I only have 11, Scott.
Oh,
maybe I haven't sent you a new one. Hold on.
Okay.
Maybe that's the one you made.
We're gonna change it. Maybe it is. Okay, so you're at 11. I'll need to, give me that new one next, before next game. We'll get it straightened up. So we're gonna go Danforth at a 12, Grim at a 11. Finn at a 10. Q has an 11 dexterity as well, so he's tied there with Grim. Dumont has an 11. So we've got a lot of ties on that. The next thing I'm going to go with to separate you guys is going to be health. So Grim's got a 10. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so does Q. And Dumont has an 11, so he's going to beat both of you with that 11. The next thing I'm going to go is it's strength after that. Grim's got an 11, and Q's got a 10. So I'm getting you guys all in order there, and then Father Finn is separated at the end there by his original. What did I go with? Dexterity, I think, is put him at the end. Okay, so the order that we're gonna roll in is Danforth, Dumont, Grim, Q, Finn. And I'm just gonna write that into my sheet real quick.
The easier way of doing that might be basic move and then basic speed, because then it gives you a fraction, 5.25, 5.5.
You're right. I wonder if anyone got screwed?
No, I think it lays out the same. It's just faster.
Yep, I like that because it's you're right. So this time around, we're probably going to. We'll stick with that, and I'll do it the simpler way next time. Okay. And I have to check on a couple of other NPCs real quick so that I know where they are. Mhm. What's his name? Okay, moving along. This isn't so horrible. So Dumont, you were the last one to take a move. I'm going to consider us to be right here in that part of the round, and I'm going to give Danforth his basic move. He seems to be kind of catching on the actions in this direction, but he doesn't want to kind of get ahead of anybody. So he's going to be right here, like almost next to Finn for the moment. Hey, I got us out of order already. That was ridiculous. So Grim, it's your move. Are you heading the general direction that everyone else is going? Should I just move you 5 that direction?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on yet. So yeah, or my character's not.
Okay, you're gonna get to about here. I'm gonna take this guy away. He's no longer involved. That's that couple that had a brief altercation with Q. Q, you're the next in line here. Let me know what you're doing.
Quick walk to catch up, or at least be within intervention distance of him by the time he hits the kids.
Okay. So you're headed that same way. You're only a couple, spaces behind him. Finn, now you're right next to this African American gentleman who seems to be going after these kids. And it's your turn.
Couldn't get my mouse to move. Yeah, I'm gonna like basically hold my action so I can trail him.
Awesome. Good note. You can hold your action. So how close behind him do you want to stay? He doesn't seem to have taken any special notice of you.
Yeah, and when he's, like one space, like there's a between us and him, so like the gap of one movement behind us.
Okay. And there's actually a special circumstance that I want to take care of real fast for Dumont. There's an additional perception check here that I need you to make, and just let me know how this turns out. You're at your normal perception, the -1 for this scenario. And there might be a couple of invisible pluses available to you. You just rolled a 13. That's actually going to make it regardless, right? So
no, actually, there it is. Yeah, I made it.
Oh.
I rolled the 10.
Okay.
That was an old roll.
I'm going to send this particular observation to you in a text message on your phone.
Ooh.
I hate spell check. There we go. I think that's right. And I'll give you time to observe that and just let me know if that you received it.
Not yet.
Not delivered, it says. Crying out loud. And I do not know why. Did you guys know that there was like an enormous outage?
Yeah, an AT&T outage.
I'm not on. I'm on some sort of weird carrier, but who can?
Nationwide.
Yeah, that's over now, right?
Mostly, it had to do with it was really weird because people were experiencing it and others weren't, but it had to do with the handoff from one tower to the next. So
Strange.
if you were moving, it wouldn't pick up the new tower, and then you just lose service.
So here's what I'm gonna do. It could be because I'm in a 130-year-old house in a basement. So I'm going to mute myself for a moment. I'm going to go to the next room and try to send it again. If it doesn't work in there, I'm going to call Haste and see if that works.
Well, you could copy it and email it. That could work too.
Okay, let me try that. Copy. Hey, I have email. Oh, because it's DHZ. I'm like, how come I can't find Dave? Okay, that says sent. And I'm going to go ahead and move on. I apologize. What part of the round was I in? It wasn't Dumont's turn. I had just talked through Father Finn, actually. So, that brings us to the gentleman in question.
I have received the email.
Okay, good. Thank you for letting me know. Bye. You all see that he has basically reached those kids. He's right there on them, but he doesn't reach out and try and grab them or anything like that. He definitely seems to be trying to get their attention, and he's got it. I'm going to move to the next person in the round. That would be these kids.
And I was holding so that I could stay behind him.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So you do. You're exactly right. You have. I'm going to go ahead and move you. You don't have to go your whole movement in order to get to one space away from him. You've got, a couple kind of in the bank if he were to get thrown a couple spaces or something, which I don't see happening. But, okay. So yeah, you're right there. That's going to put us with this fellow trying to take a move. And these kids are not rushing away, but at the same time, the young man seems to be sort of, I don't know, kind of dragging the little girl behind him, but they're both facing, they're kind of like walking backwards. And you might be able to hear a little bit of a conversation going on. I'm going to say that with all that's going on in this area, the chances of anyone further away than Danforth hearing what's being said between them is going to be at more than at like a -8 just in natural course of things. So with your additional minuses, it's abysmal, but I would give anyone else a chance if they're like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. Well, I'd give Q a shot. I wouldn't even give Dumont a shot or Grimm a shot where they're standing. But Danforth and Finn, you've got a chance to kind of pick up on this conversation. So, Finn, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a perception here. It's kind of a whispered conversation. I'm not going to give you additional negatives. You said you were following him. You're right there. You're like 5 feet away. But it's definitely like he's trying to have a private whispered conversation with these kids.
with the penalties, I missed it. I only made it by one.
Okay. So unfortunately, that's really all that you can tell, is that they seem apprehensive about his approach, and that there is some sort of whispered conversation. I'm going to give Danforth a chance over here
You
to.
said I had a chance to observe.
Yes, but I mean, we're talking about it at a -8, in addition to your other.
I was actually going to use lip reading.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what.
I made that by 3.
You make that by 3, and you're only operating at a -1. Is
I'm
that
not
correct?
actually not no negatives. I took that potion.
You took that potion.
Yeah.
Okay. So from where you're standing, you cannot tell what this guy, oh, I want to make sure you can see my mouse. You cannot tell what this black man is saying to these children. But you can see the little girl's face. If it's kind of like she's not really participating a lot in the conversation, but I'm going to give you that you can tell that he seems to be asking them to come with him by kind of like the body language. I'll give you like the body language to go along with the lip reading. You know, if you can't see the face, you can kind of still tell some things. And the little girl is saying, the only thing you see is her saying, "Not yet." And the little boy has already made his way around the ball toss. Yeah, you know what? You can kind of see through it. He is going to say, "We don't want to." She's coming with us. She's coming with me. And that's all that you're able to see for now. We were at Father Finn no, we weren't at Father Finn. We were at Danforth in the turn. Right? Pretty sure.
Yeah.
He's kind of slinking along this direction. Actually, I'm going to make a different decision for him. He's going to go ahead and move his full movement this way instead. And that's going to put us at lots of different screens over here. It's going to be Dumont that has an opportunity. What's the move?
I'm going to stand still and undo the balloon.
Okay. It's still, to get that done in 1 second is
Right.
definitely still going to take a dexterity check. So give that a shot. Oops.
That I made. Right
Nice. Okay, and you're just letting the air out of the dang thing anyway, right?
Right.
You can take any kind of a move and still move 1 space without any negative. So I assume you're going this direction, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and give you that space. And we're on to Grim, who's right next to him. What's happening, Grim? What's popping?
I'm just going to observe for now. I'm still not sure what's going on, so I'm kind of trying to get an idea before we really interact. I want to keep moving forward, though.
Okay, are you moving your full movement, or is there a particular area or space you want to make it to? Like your full movement's probably going to get you to about here.
Yeah, we'll just do full.
Okay. Are you happy with that spot?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, and we're going to move to Q. What's your move, Q?
5, and I'm going to try to angle to just kind of walk between him and the kids.
So you want to get yourself here. Is that right?
Yep. I know I won't get there yet. So.
Okay. Do you want to go to the north of Finn on your way, or to the south?
Actually, by the time I get there, I'm thinking Ian's character has the right idea. I'm gonna follow him around there because by the time I get to where I can get between them, they'll be past there if the kids keep backing up that way. So I'll follow him around.
Yeah, you're going to be pretty much right next to him then. I think you were almost right next to him before. You didn't have any trouble catching up. That puts us at Father Finn. What's your move? You kind of lost your extra 2 from that's the 2 you lost from holding.
No, and that's fine. I'm
just
again,
making
I'm
sure you
holding-
know where you are. Yeah.
When you, yeah, so that's fine. And then I'm gonna do it again and hold back, and I want to get a little bit closer, like right, like not hugged up on him, but the one space away, so that
So
if he does talk, I can hear what he's saying.
you'll be in the adjacent space to him instead of one space between you guys.
Right.
And do you want to be directly behind him, or do you want to be in sort of a spot?
Yeah, I'll be behind him, try to keep out of his peripheral.
Okay, you're staying out of his peripheral vision, and at this moment, that would be right here.
And yeah, so that hopefully, if there's more conversation, I'm better at picking it up this time.
Yeah, and give me just a second here. Let's do. Oh man. How did we do that? There we go. I've got my stuff together. Okay. Things are happening. You see at this moment, just as you come up behind him, the black gentleman stiffens just as you come up behind him. And you kind of feel like maybe it's a reaction to your presence in general. But he does not whip around towards you or anything like that. And quickly, the young man, dragging the girl with him, reverses course and moves this direction into the Hall of Mirrors. And they vanish into its confines.
Well, they just committed the cardinal sin of horror movies. And then, so, and I'm going to say, I'm obviously with some body language and me creeping right up behind that guy, I can tell I've been made, right?
I'd say it's a good assumption. If you wanted to make a particular roll to be certain about it, I'd allow that.
I've done enough rolling. If you want the roll, I'll do it. I mean, I'm just
you can make that's a good assumption. Yeah. Yeah. And I need to keep us rolling here. I feel like we're even though the kids have run in there, we might still be in sort of a timed momentum that's melee-like, especially with let's call him the assailant, having made Father Finn possibly here. And we're back around to the beginning of this.
Well, before we move off, and I burn my extra move, are there other kids at the ball toss or anyone else at the ball toss?
Yes, there's an attendant inside, and I'm trying to get my oh my gosh. Oh, how awesome. Kind of. If I can figure out how to get my oh wow. My computers just recognized one another, and I can actually use my second computer as an extra monitor now. I don't know why it happened. So I'm sorry, that shocked the hell out of me. I had to find where my mouse was again. I apologize. What was the action that was taking place?
Well, I was just quickly wanting to observe if there are other anyone else playing at the ball.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to point around to over here. I can give you a 4 and a 5. There are a couple of other little boys. There's just a couple little boys. They're actually maybe a little bit older, like 12, 14, somewhere in that range, that are on this other side, and then there's an attendant inside of that ball toss.
Okay, and so with the rest of my move, then I'm going to step up to the ball toss to try to play off that I'm lurking behind this guy.
Right, to try and make it look natural.
Yeah.
This is going to be an opposed roll to try and play this off. Do you have any kind of an acting skill, or do you have observation?
I have observation, and I have fast talk streetwise. Best of those is observation,
and that is exactly that's what this skill is for. You were trying to get close enough to hear him without being noticed. So let's give you an observation roll. It's a perfect thing to do.
I made that one by 3, so finally I'm circumventing this penalty.
Fantastic. And you're just gonna kind of step up to the ball toss, like right here. Like that's all I was doing.
Yeah, so that I could still have a peripheral view towards the Hall of Mirrors if I need it, and him.
Yeah, I was just close behind you. That's all. Yeah, and you see, as you start to step further behind him, he glances over the left shoulder that you were behind, like maybe as he's heading off, he's gonna either let you know he sees you or whatever, and then he looks over his right shoulder and kind of gives the shrug, like, oh yeah, I'm just nervous because I know that I'm doing something wrong. Like it seems to have worked. This happens. And that's what you did with your health.
The remainder of my
before we moved on to the next round.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. And yeah, you're able to accomplish that. And the guy at the ball toss is going to kind of step up to you. He's like right in front of you. You can tell he's just getting ready. He's assuming that you're wanting to play the ball toss. And he starts to say his spiel. What's interesting, though, got to say this because even though it's kind of a crazy thing to be noting in the middle of what's going on here, it's in your face. Man, just trying to make things move here for me. Where is that? I'm looking for the ball. Okay. Yes. You notice as you step up to this thing, the guy's about to he's saying a spiel to you, but you're not really paying attention to that. There are juggling balls suspended in midair inside of this booth, kind of like starring the area inside of it. And they kind of beckon to be thrown at these moving targets. You're actually kind of drawn to it as soon as you see what's really going on inside this booth. And one of those little boys that's standing on this other side of the booth over here has just thrown a ball, and you see that the ball kind of there's the targets towards the middle of this booth that are just sort of like a jug target, to try and get it into. And that as it approaches, it kind of almost freezes in midair and slows down right before he gets it into the jug. But that's all that you can see at this given moment. It behaves rather.
Shenanigans.
We're back around to Danforth's move, and as much as I genuinely thought that he was doing something pretty smart at the time, and so did you, it seems to have worked against him. But he's going to keep heading this way. He's going to end up right next to the entrance to the Hall of Mirrors. As a matter of fact, yeah, he can't quite get in front of it. He's just going to wind up near the entrance. And that's going to put us at Dumont. We're back around to you. What's your move?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to try to catch up to everybody.
Okay.
Move towards Father Finn.
Okay. You managed to deflate the balloon completely, and it seems to have been full for long enough that it's pretty malleable, you know. You've got it at the ready.
Okay.
You land pretty much next to Grim, unless you wanted to go on the other side of him, but
no, that's cool.
Okay. And we're on to Grim. It is your turn. Where are you headed? Or what are you doing?
It seems like everybody has kind of the pursuit under control for right now, because it's seeming less and less like it might be something. So I'm going to observe around us to see if anybody's noticing what we're doing, kind of, tailing this guy and the kids. And that's my 1 second.
Okay. Do you have observation, or do you just want to do perception? Because I'm assuming that you don't want everyone to know that you're kind of clocking the scene.
I do have observation. It's 11.
Okay. And I'm on a different screen, so I didn't see if you rolled or not. But yeah, go ahead and roll.
That broke for me. So
I wondered why I wasn't seeing him.
Let's say 6, 7, 8 is the roll.
Okay, 8 against your 11, and you're operating at
-4, so -1.
So yeah, you missed it by 1, right? Yeah. So here's what you do observe. Of course, nobody thinks that they fail to observe, but you fail to observe that anybody thinks that you're doing anything weird or anything like that. So you're assuming that this action goes unnoticed by bystanders. I will let you know that you observe that there are still several people standing around this fighting arena ring, and that there's still the fellow in there that's sort of shouting about how wonderful he is, even though we've had several rounds of action. It's really only been a few seconds, so he's still doing the same thing. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. And we're going to move to Q. You're up here.
I'll follow around to the Hall of Mirrors.
Okay. And where do you want to, so you were one behind Danforth. Where you kind of want to land? Do you want to be like in this area, like right next to him?
Yeah, right next to him.
Okay. And let's do, that's going to put us, no other special actions during this round, right? Or let me know if there is.
Nope.
Okay. Father Finn, what action taketh thou?
I have a pocket full of tickets, so I'm going to pull out this stack because I bought $10 worth before we came in here.
That's right. You've got plenty, and it's literally like one ticket.
Right. So I'll pull it out. I mean, it should be enough to do in 1 second. Pull it out and tell the attendant that one for me and one for each of those kids. And then I'll tell the kids, make sure you find your way to church this Sunday.
Oh, there you go. Okay. And you can, shout that across to them without moving their direction, or do you want to move their direction?
Nah, I'm just gonna shout to them. I want to stay and give the position I have now so that I can keep my ear and peripheral on the weird guy.
Okay. And it'll take you about that long to pull the tickets out of your pocket and put them on the counter and say that. And, considering the kind of action that's ensuing, it's about all that can happen. Unless you argue that there's something else you're trying to get done, I'm going to move on. Okay. So here, this fellow seems to be trying to head right on into the Hall of Mirrors after those kids. And he's going to have to pass directly by Danforth, who's at the end of his action. And Danforth, at that moment, no one's quite sure exactly what he was going to do. He got himself in position. But as he's standing there, instead of, reaching out and grabbing him or doing anything kind of that invasive or that type of intervention, he turns directly around to face Q and kind of holds his hands up and shrugs, and he says, I think we'd be better off to kind of just observe, maybe not even go in there. And that's about all he can get said in a second. And he's saying that to you, Hugh. Then we're on to Dumont. You're over here at the fighting ring. Dumont. Oh, wait. That's not his turn. That's not where we're at. This guy had not finished his move, and he does disappear into the Hall of Mirrors at that point. It's him. Some stuff's going on. If you guys will give me just a moment, I have to make a couple of rolls on here.
Does it look like the entrance and exit are both on the same side?
You do not see any exit other than this one that's right in front of you. Yeah, this face of the Hall of Mirrors is the only entrance or exit that you've seen. You can, I don't know. I don't think anyone bothered to observe closely enough to notice any more than that without asking any specific questions. All right, and we're going to move back around to the beginning of the round in a way. And what I need to know is this. Here's what'll happen. We're moving back to the beginning of the round. Danforth has just said that to Q. And then it's Dumont's turn. Dumont, are you still in pursuit? Are we still in a timed round for you?
No, I was figuring we were all going to gather up here and figure out what our next move was. So I was just going to move to where Father Finn is.
Okay. That moves us to Grim. Are you still in pursuit, or are you? Tell me what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, and I thought of that right when Joe thought of it. If the exits and entrance is in the same spot, so I'm gonna try to go around the back of the area, the Hall of Mirrors, to see if I can see anything.
Okay, I'm gonna let you get down to this area, and it's not comfortable getting past here, just so you know, but it's also not impossible. It's kind of like the suggestion of don't go over here. That would be outside of the carnival grounds, but it's not like a stiff perimeter or hardened outer wall or something. It's literally these couple of carts, and it's like tent stakes. So you can really go through there. You just can't move. If you're trying to.
I don't know, fall.
Yeah, exactly. You can move your basic move even, but you can't sprint through here or try to push it or anything.
Okay.
And we're going to stop you there. You can tell that you're certain that there is not an exit on this side. There's no like tent flap or anything that looks like it gets moved or anything. That brings us to Q. Danforth was just speaking to you. Do you still feel like you're going to be in pursuit or any kind of timed action here?
Well, since I didn't bother to buy any tickets when we had the chance, I can't really follow them in any way. So I will duck around the other side and just see if there's an exit up there.
Okay.
It does look like these two tents are connected, right?
They basically, what you're seeing here is both tents have stakes. There is some room between them. It would be possible to navigate between them, but there's like X's of tent wires going to the ground. So there's maybe about 3 feet down from where they cross, maybe 4 feet down from where they cross, and then it's just inconvenient. You have to decide whether you're gonna duck under the 4 feet or step over through the side. It's just inconvenient. It's even more difficult than the way Grimm's going around, but you can do it. It's just slow going, and you can
right
see
around
the
other side of the tent. Was that the entrance that we came in?
This right here is the entrance.
The main entrance. The other side of that.
Yeah, that's correct. So you'd end up coming out right next to the ticket taker. That's the ticket taker booth you came in. And yeah, there's just this one tent here that doesn't really have any kind of a sign on it or anything. It just looks to be maybe a utilitarian area as far as you know.
I'll say to Danforth then, okay, you watch this side, I'll watch the other side.
Okay. You only had to move a couple spaces to get there. And are you going to try and traverse through this? Area? I can't
You're
hear
muted.
you. Yeah, it's not hearing you.
So I'm going to walk around the other tent back to the entrance and just look down the backside of both tents.
Okay. You're not going to quite get to, I mean, you're peering around the corner and you're trying to look.
That's where I'm heading. So whenever I get there.
Yeah, you're not quite there yet, but yeah, you'll be able to see soon. I'll say that you can even get your head kind of, like not uncomfortably or anything. You're just kind of like peeking over that direction as you walk through here. You're kind of against the flow of traffic and everything. And against the back of this area, you're not trying to hide your observation here. It's just perception, right? So go ahead and make that perception roll, unless your observation's even better. Come up with a 10, and that should be good. I think you're at a 14 with it. Yeah, pretty good observation. You see sort of right as you look, it's like maybe this is a lucky moment or maybe this happens a lot. You see sort of a bump against this back wall here. Like, what was that? Was that like an elbow or something being pushed up against the back of the tent? Like something that was like bumped against the back of the tent right as you peeked around.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to assume that we're going to keep rolling as if maybe we're in a timed movement here. So that's going to put me at Father Finn. You're at the ring toss. And this attendant grabs one of these balls sort of out of the air. It's just hanging there in the air. And he hands it to you. And he kind of like has a crazy sort of a look in his eye. He's kind of like, I don't know, as if he's offering you some sort of experience. Are you take the ball from him?
Yeah, I'll take it, and then I'll execute my throw. That'll probably be the bulk of my action for this turn, but then I'll turn towards the hall of mirrors. If I have a step left, I'll take a step that way.
Well, to execute the throw, because it's not you being slow, it's him.
I see.
It's going to be the next round.
That's fine.
Okay, so you're basically not holding, but like you're waiting for him to hand you the ball, and he does. But then we're on to the next thing. I've got a couple of things going on here that I just need.
No roll to see if I win or whatever the hell this thing is.
Yeah, that's going to happen here if you take a toss. It's going to be important at some point. Do you have throwing weapons, ball toss ball?
Well, yes, I have. Yeah.
You have juggling?
Weapon skill ball.
Weapon skill juggling ball, or juggling would be a great skill to have, since it's actually a juggling ball.
Yeah, no, it's probably going to be some sort of modified dex roll.
Yeah. We'll get there in the next round. I'm going to go ahead and go back to Danforth. So he says for him to watch this side, he's going to watch that side, and Danforth is just sort of wanting to look a little more nonchalant than standing here staring at the entrance. So he does come over here towards the group that's coalescing around Father Finn, and we're on to Dumont. What action are you taking at this point? Oh, okay. Did you say something? Is Haston on there? I don't see him.
Yeah, he's on there. I didn't hear him though.
I was talking. I was muted.
Oh,
I'm going to create air in my balloon.
okay. Oh, gotcha. Give me a second here.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. Very cool.
Wasn't there just air in it?
No, there was helium in it. Hopefully, I don't drop the Ankh this time.
We can hope. At least there isn't an imminent danger from dogs or anything.
Yeah.
I lucked out and got a blizzard. My
Nice.
wife got me a blizzard. I'm lucky. Sorry. Had to go get that. She's a good woman. Gotta love her. Okay. You're gonna fill the balloon with air, Dumont. And are you in a hurry to do it, or are you just willing to take the 3 rounds or so that it would normally take to fill the balloon with air?
Well, I'm using. Maybe I wasn't clear. I'm casting the spell, create air.
Oh, yes,
Purified
that's
air.
right. You're not blowing it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And there's nothing challenging you or stopping you from doing that. I don't think you have to make any kind of a roll. It
Okay.
does require causing that to put some pressure in there. And so in order to do so, what everyone is going to see Professor Dumont do is going to appear to be basically blowing up a balloon with his mouth. You could do it very quickly though, using the spell, like sort of like it'll look pretty much like the way when you see somebody who's really good at making balloon animals and things like that. They don't stand there for 5 minutes blowing up a balloon. They go, and the balloon is full. And that is exactly what you witness. Everyone around Professor Dumont sees him fill it. Are you going to be specifically careful about whether or not the balloon bursts? Like,
Oh yeah. I want to make sure that it doesn't
Okay.
pop, because I don't want to have to do it again. So
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to consider that you're able to produce a little bit more air than actually fits in the balloon. So it's not unless you're willing to kind of push it to you. Okay, so you're gonna lose just a little bit of the duration that you would have had of clean air, but it's still significant amount of time, minutes of time. We're talking like maybe a 5-10% reduction in how much breathable air there is. Not like significant, because it pretty much fits in there, pretty close. All right, and after Dumont, we're on to Grimm again. I think that I'm going to go ahead and pull us out of this timed combat and let you guys tell me. Grimm, just what are you doing? I'm not going to do turns anymore because everyone can be where they want to be at this point.
I'm just going to keep going around the backside of it, just seeing if there's another exit.
Okay. So you're kind of move around here, and we're going to clearly cue. You had already said that you wanted to move around this direction too. You see each other pretty much immediately. And are you wanting to move this far over this way, Q?
No, I'll stay right in the edge as long as I can see the backside, that nobody can get out of it without me seeing them. I'm fine there.
Yes.
Kind of lean up against the post or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can look fairly nonchalant doing that. Danforth is just sort of saying, so what's the move here? Over to this group with Father Finn and Professor Dumont. And I guess, Father Finn, you said you wanted to throw the ball, so you were going to give that a shot. We might as well do that.
We're going to switch this thing, and then I'm planning on heading into the Hall of Mirrors since I'm the man with tickets.
Okay.
I'll make a dex roll and we'll see what kind of. I missed it by 2, probably.
By 2.
Like, yeah.
Well, there's no modifiers for range or anything, but unfortunately, missing the dex roll by 2. You toss the ball. It feels very strange. It feels heavy in your hand, but light the moment that you throw it. And it feels almost like it flows in slow motion towards the jug at the center of this ball toss thing. But it does come to the edge of that jug. You're wondering whether it's going to go in or not. And it just sort of like touches the edge and then just rolls around and sticks to it, almost like it's magnetic or something, kind of like slowly starts to roll down the side. And unless you're going to stay there.
No, my plan was to move on. Just toss the ball and move on. Okay. I no longer need to have the charade of being at the ball toss.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's up to you guys. I'm not keeping track of time and increments anymore.
Right. So, and my next step was just to move on, and while other people are doing whatever they're doing, I'm going to be heading into the Hall of Mirrors.
You're going to go inside.
Okay. Right. Because I don't know what's going on in there, and while we have the exits covered, it doesn't mean bad things can't happen in there.
Okay. Finn heads in. Everyone can still see him. Is anyone else going in?
From my position, and I doubt I can see him. I mean, so.
No, you can't.
I wouldn't know.
Okay. Dumont?
I'm gonna go with him if that's cool. Make sure I've got a lit cigar and head on in.
Okay. Danforth, as you guys start to head that way, you can see that you both decided to go in. He says, I think I'd best just stay out here and I'll watch for you to come back out. And he's not even going to move from he's just going to kind of hang out over here. Grim, you can see Danforth.
Okay.
He whips out a cigarette and lights it, standing over here next to this. And you can tell that he's observing the front of the hall mirrors, but only because you know, and probably nobody else thinks he looks suspicious.
Yeah, I'm just going to continue to watch the back and the side just to make sure nobody exits that way.
Okay. I'm going to check on a couple little things here to make sure that oh, that's what there we go. I want fix that.
Before we head in, I'm gonna be right back.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to wait for him to get back.
Yeah, I figure I'm due for a pit stop, so I'll.
Yeah,
I'll
that's a
take
great
your
idea. I kind of need that too. So let's take a couple minutes.
Okay. See you in about 4 or 5 minutes. Then I guess we can have like a
Yeah.
countdown or something like. What?
Oh, I'll do that. Yeah, why not?
499.
Yeah. Start counting, guys. All right, I'll be back.
Be faster.
Super P.
It's a race.
Yeah, and I actually have that. Okay, good. Yours was more full one. I'm gonna go up to the. I couldn't find it in the fridge.
It's like freaking ice cream.
And it's the cinnamon, like, does it taste cinnamony?
Oh, yeah. This is delicious. Very good.
Okay.
Yes. I think
It's so weird though, because they're so awkward.
well, I think it's strange that he messaged you at 7:30.
Oh wow, you really can set a timer here. Nice.
Oh. Okay.
Oh hey Neil, I started playing Project Zomboid on a multiplayer server.
Uh-huh.
That's been pretty because like that regular game's gotten kind of like, I wouldn't say stale, but it's I've got it kind of down, like, so I was like, so I figured like, well, I'll try this out and see. I saw a video of somebody getting on a PvP server, so I got on that, and then it can have like as many as 100 people on at a time, and
Wow.
it's been pretty interesting playing that. Like avoid, like, instead of just worrying about zombies, now I got to worry about other players and then finding where I live or where I'm stashing my stuff, and I can find their stuff and steal theirs. So it's been a lot more interesting playing that way than.
Yeah, that could be wild.
But yeah, and the way people try to disguise their bases is crazy. I was just driving around. I was actually looking for a tractor because they got a bunch of mods on there.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, hey, I'm going to play with these tractors and see if I can farm some stuff with it. And so I just going off these random rural houses. And I was like, well, that looks strange. Because everywhere I go, doors are open because people have looted all these houses and stuff. I was like, well, that door isn't open. And I pull in, and they had tore down the back of the building, parked this military trailer in it, and then resealed it back up. So I broke in, took down the walls, packed my car in, and pulled out with their trailer, which was loaded with guns and bullets. It was and I had this piece of shit, practically like my old Dodge Dart, trying to haul this military trailer, and I'm trying to avoid roads because there's 50 to 100 people on here, so I'm dragging it through the dirt and grass and going so it took almost an hour of real life time to haul this thing back to where I'm basing. So it's pretty exciting, pretty fun playing that way.
How big is the map? I mean,
it's the same size as the actual game, which is enormous. It's absolutely enormous.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could show you we've only played in one town, and then
I forgot there's multiple towns. That's right.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen real quick and then we can get back to the game. But
Yeah, go ahead.
So when we've played before, this here is the fire station where we would where we went, and the police station was right next door. That's where we went. If I back out, that's the entire map.
That is a big map. Damn.
Yeah, it's good. It takes a long time to drive around and get to places. But up here's where all the action is in Louisville and Westport. All the PvP gets hardcore up there because there's so much resources and stuff up there. So and then slacker players like me kind of hang out in the smaller towns.
I'm a slacker player in real life. Just hang out in the small towns. All right. I'm going to go ahead and keep on moving. We're off map now. As you saw, I removed the icons for Dumont and Finn because they both went into the Hall of Mirrors. And upon entering, you find yourself in a corridor of mirrors that distorts reality. You just feel immediately like all of those effects that were kind of touching your senses before you went in, you step through and there's a sunbeam that you step out of into kind of a slightly darker area. There seems to be some sort of a gas lighting, lanterns hanging around from the ceiling in here, gas camping lanterns type things to give you light. But the second you come out of that sunshine, boom, you'd swear to God that there were already mirrors behind you. You're in a hallway that splits 3 directions, and you look to your left, you look straight ahead, and you look to your right, and then you hear giggling off to your left side, and you look over there, and there's a woman over there at the end of the hall giggling, and she seems to be facing you, but you can tell that she doesn't see you. You think it's probably somebody in a reflection coming from somewhere. And so it's just sort of disorienting in that way. Immediately, I know you're wanting to see, can I see where those kids ended up? Can I see where the men who went in following them ended up? And that seems immediately hopeless from where you're standing, and you have to just kind of decide what you're going to do from here.
Well, I was expecting it to be something of a maze, so So we've got 3 different ways to go. I'll tell our good demon pair to you pick a path, I'll pick another one.
And the woman's walking towards you down the hall now, which is also disorienting because you were certain that she was in a reflection and not in the hallway, but she seems to be walking towards you now.
So I'm gonna pick a path and kind of head that way. I mean, unless she's coming to get tickets from me, I'm just gonna go.
Right? No, you see that there's not a ticket taker in here. It's clear that it's just sort of like, hey, you've come to the fairgrounds, you've gone through the ticket booth area, and this is an attraction to bring people here. You don't have to get tickets. Do you want to go? You can go left, straight, or right. It's coming from the left.
Right is right.
Okay. So he heads off that direction. And Dumont, which direction are you heading?
I'll go straight.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Finn first, since you took the decisive direction. You start heading that direction, and you immediately are out of sight of Dumont. That woman was directly behind you. But you, as you're heading this way, you don't see her in the mirrors. But the air is thick with a tangible sense of foreboding. You feel like you're in a dangerous place. The laughter and the music of the carnival outside are very muffled, so you can still kind of hear the outside, but you would assume that you're at the front of this tent that you just went into. But oddly enough, it's almost as if you would expect that music and muffled sound to be coming from your right, because you went to the right, and yet that should be the front wall. But it feels more like it's coming from the opposite side than it should be. And it's sort of muffled as if it's underwater or something like that. And pretty soon you're going to come up to your next turn. And you're feeling just very disoriented in here. You come to another split in the pathways, but you don't see any body either direction. It looks kind of similar to the first. It's a T, just like what you were just at. And you can go left or right again. And I'm going to mark down a couple things real quick. And I just need to know which direction you're heading from here. In this case, I'm not going to show you guys the map. Just so.
Well, that'd make it too easy now, wouldn't it?
But
I came in, and
alone.
then we turned right, and you're saying there's another right where?
Right. And another left. There's another right and a left. You cannot go straight ahead.
Okay, right is right. I'll keep going right.
You go right again. Okay, and I'm going to turn back to Dumont. And you went straight ahead.
Yeah.
And there's nothing particularly strange about this. You do feel like that sense of foreboding in this space, though. You just know that you're right about that something is dangerous about where you are. And you do hear the carnival music receding behind you. You're walking away from it, like you're walking to the heart of this thing, getting further from the outside walls. And you also come to a T where you can turn left or right. And which way are you going to turn at this intersection?
I'm going to turn left.
Okay. Turn left there, and well, don't do that to me. I'm going to move back to Father Finn. I need you to, I know you're right now, you're trying to investigate, you're trying to find these kids. Are there any tactics that you're using, or are you just using straight perception and trying to find your way through the maze?
Basically just trying to perceive my way through. I did have the idea to grease my finger and put a cross on a spot. So like as I make my turn, I'll probably do that. So I'll know this is, and I'm trying to stick with, simple like maze tactics. Like that's why I'm going right. That way it makes backtracking easy enough to go left.
So you're like going to lick your finger and make a mark on the mirror,
right?
This corner.
Put a cross, and that I figure that'd be wise enough even for the mountain that I've been there. It's like sees the cross, like okay.
You've turned right again there. All right, and you're heading down. You leave that mark. It appears as would be a normal thing, like nothing strange about that. Your hand doesn't disappear into the mirror or anything like that. But as you turn this corner and look ahead, you see a man standing in front of you. Go ahead and make a perception check here. He's maybe about 20 feet away at the end of the hallway.
Okay, perception roll. Let's see here. Space enter. I made that by 5.
Awesome. You are pretty confident that you're looking at your own back in that mirror. You are the man standing at the end of the hallway.
That's incredibly crazy.
You can continue to go that way, but it does kind of arrest you in your steps. You're like,
Yeah.
And do you keep moving that way?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of trickery is going on with this, but yeah, I'm trying to stick to normal maze solving tactics and just stick with the plan. So,
well, as you move forward, you're like, oh, that's weird, and as you kind of like tilt your head like a dog hearing at a phonograph, you see yourself in front of you tilt your head just exactly the same way. You take a step forward with your left foot, and it's as if you're just looking at a video camera of you in front of yourself, and so you just keep walking that direction. And the only strange thing about that is if this were some sort of trickery using some kind of a camera or film, you would expect to walk up to the screen, but instead you seem to be staying about 20 foot behind yourself, walking down a long hallway. You keep on walking, and you're going to walk for just a little bit longer here. It's a long hallway, but not like, oh my gosh, I've gone too far into the abyss. You're not like necessarily scared of that yet. I'll allow that you could easily like glance over your shoulder. You can still see the intersection that you came from. And pretty soon you see that there is there is like a cross in the hallway, like a four-way where you can go left, right, or continue straight ahead. And that you ahead of you walks past that and goes straight. And then you come up to it right about the time he seems to be coming up to a similar intersection. So you've kind of like walked into this area. You're just watching yourself. And then when you reach this intersection, I'm going to let you make a perception check at this point.
Come on, open up. There we go. No, I did even better on that one.
Here we go. Oh, even better. You see the reflection of that little girl on the left side, the one that went in there. Just the little girl. You don't see anyone else with her.
Well, then I got no choice but to hope that that's the actual reality of where she's at that way.
You turn that direction, and the last you see of yourself is that as you turn left, and you would assume that the you in front of you would also turn left because it was doing everything exactly the same way. The you in front of you turns right and disappears down the hallway to the right. And then I'm going to come back to Professor Dumont. Oh, and the little girl kind of disappears. Like you saw her in that corner. There was a corner that, like, it's just, you go that way and you turn left. And she was in that mirror, and then she left. But there's only one way to go at the end of that step. So Professor Dumont, we're back to you. You had gone down that hallway straight ahead, and you'd chosen to take a left when you got to that intersection. And you walked down, about another, it's a pretty short jaunt, really. It's maybe 10 feet. And I'm going to have you make a perception check. You coming to another T, like the same as the ones that I've described before, where it's a left and a right. Okay, you get an 11, and your perception is 14, right? And you're kind of unmodified now, right?
I am unmodified, but I'm pretty sure my perception is 12.
Okay,
So-
thank you. You're good. Okay. You notice something out of the corner of your eye, and it's right here next to you as you're at that T. And you look over, and at about eye level, you see something start to form in the mirror. And what it looks like is like somebody's wet their finger and drawing the sign of the cross right in front of you. You can see them. You can see it appear there. Is there anything you're going to do about that?
I don't think there's anything I'm going to do about that, but I do want to look around. Like, do the walls go all the way to the top of the tent?
It's a very good question. The mirrors are you'd say, about 8 feet tall. And the tent does arch up above that. So you might be able to look up and try and figure out your bearings. Like, where's the center of this tent based on where the lanterns are hanging from a closer portion of the roof of the tent or something like that. There are places where, say, if you were able to jump and get your head above 8 feet, that you might be able to peek over the walls.
Okay.
You're still at this intersection, and you can choose to move one direction or the other. I don't think you gave me a direction, or
I did not.
no, you haven't decided to move yet. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast another spell.
Okay.
I'm gonna use the walk on air spell and try to get up above these mirrors and see what I can see.
Okay. So I don't think that you have to do anything to cast this spell. It's just successful, right?
Well, there is a number. There's an got to roll below 11.
Okay. Due to the nature of you don't have any intoxicant affecting you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and did you do that roll? Is that what I'm looking at? No.
No, I just did the roll.
Damn.
Not very good with the spells.
It's rough.
Hey, nobody knows that.
Yeah. I mean, they're supposed to be hard, right?
Yeah, so you start to sort of say your incantation, it doesn't take long. It takes you your moment there. And you just sort of feel disoriented, lose your concentration, and you're like, what the hell was that? And I'm going to go back to Father Finn. Finn, like I said, you were coming up to a left turn. You had just seen that little girl that you are confident was the same one that you'd seen being chased into here. And you look around the corner and you see I mean almost exactly the same thing. There she is. There's a left turn, and she's going around that corner. Almost exactly the same exact situation. It kind of you're wanting to pick up the pace here because you feel like you're falling behind if you don't just walking isn't doing the trick. Are you wanting to pick up the pace and kind of double your speed here?
I do, but I also want to be able to find my way back, so I'm going to mark the corner where I'm at again.
Okay.
And put another, like, make the cross, then put a dot above it, so I can know the order I've gone through and where I'm at. So
the last time you reached up,
made a cross
on the right, and it's where you had turned right. This one, it was a left turn.
Yeah, but I'm marking with my right hand, so like whatever wall's on my right. So
you're still marking on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting to note is that when you reach up to do that, you see a reflection behind you that on your left side there's a cross that's marked in the same way. Are you going to stop to examine this, or are you just going to keep on?
I'm gonna I don't know. I think I'll do what I planned on doing real quick. I'll make note of that and realize that this all may be in vain at this point. But then I'll pick up the pace and go after.
Okay. Oh, all right. And I need to read a couple of things real quick to make sure I'm keeping a good record of what's going on here. Okay. Okay. All right.
And as I just want to warn that as I pick up the pace, I am cautious to have my hand in front of me in case some of this is just glass and I walk into some plate glass window and
absolutely
don't break my nose on that.
So you're walking forward, but you're trying to kind of rush a little bit because you see that if you walk at your normal pace, you're going to continue to just see her going around corners, assuming that all the halls are the same length. And there was a left turn here again that you were forced around. So this has been a couple of lefts, even though your plan was to take all rights. And oddly enough, as baffling as it would be to physics, as you come around this corner, there's another left, which you would logically conclude is going to take you back to where you started and doesn't make any sense unless there's a turn that you can't see going some other direction or spiral smaller and smaller and infinitely until you come to the end, and until you there's no more room for left turns here.
Right. For all I know, I'm drugged as hell, and
right.
So who knows what this warped reality is? But yeah, I'm just gonna forget it. I'm just following the rabbit at this point.
Okay, you're kind of rushing forward, and you do feel like maybe you're going to catch up. You do take another left, and this next time you're not just seeing her reflection go around the corner. She turns around yet another left, but this time you actually see her whip around the left. You feel like you might be able to say something if you're trying to. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, say, hey, little girl. Let's see if she reacts or stops or keeps running.
She whips her head around, but she does disappear around the corner. You can tell that she heard you.
Keep in pursuit.
Right. And now, as you come around this next corner, she's standing at the end of the hallway there. And you notice that the crosses that you'd put on just a couple of mirrors are on every single mirror in this hallway. And she turns around, she's facing you, and she sort of seems like she's going to walk right towards you, but I'm going to move back over to Dumont. You had tried to cast a spell here. You're at a T in this Hall of Mirrors hallway, and you've seen this cross that was marked on the one side, and something broke your concentration. It's just too difficult to concentrate in this area. What's the next move?
Well, I'd like to try it one more time, and if that doesn't work, then I'm going to go move on.
Okay, I think you can do that. On successive tries of the same spell, I am going to impose a small modifier.
Okay.
That I'm not going to tell you
Sure.
what it is, but it's not terrible. Go ahead and give it a shot.
No,
Even worse. Gosh darn it. Well, I hate that this has happened to you, but such is the fate of
Yeah.
trying to cast a spell and it doesn't work. It takes a whole fucking round. I'm moving back over to Father Finn. Of course, I assume that you kind of slow down. You're not like bull rushing her, you know.
No, once I'll start walking towards her,
Okay,
gauging what's going on. I'm gonna see if there's anyone else. It's pretty off-putting, the whole situation, seeing it's all those weird crosses and everything. So
yeah.
I'm being a little bit cautious in my approach, and since she's standing still, I'll approach her and I get up to her. I say, "Are you okay?"
You get up to her and she says, "Are you okay?" Before you say, "Are you okay?" And then you say to her, "Can you help me?" Then, being a little bit confused about how that's come about, what are you wanting to do next?
Well, my response will be, "How can I help you?" I'm gonna assume she's gonna say that, and then I'm gonna say what she's gonna say.
I need you to make a willpower check,
Okay.
and I want to make sure that we have the negatives applied that were part of this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make that one.
Okay. You hear a small voice coming out of your mouth, sort of a feminine, childish voice saying, "What can I do to help you?" And you kind of blink to try and shake it off, and you're looking at her face, and you're starting to recognize, like, how this must be in some other reality. This must be your daughter or something, that she looks familiar to you in a familial way, like somebody that you've known all your life. And it's just sort of as if it weren't disconcerting enough, an even more disconcerting feeling. And then she says, "Can you help me find my way out of here?" And at that point, I'm going to go back over to Dumont. You had said you were going to give it the one more shot.
Yeah.
And try another tactic.
Yeah, we're going to go, we're going to move on along to the left again.
Okay. You're moving along to the left, and at this point, you see that there's a cross in the corner of every single mirror that you go by. So somebody has clearly come this way and wanted to mark every last mirror that they went by with this cross or something. Or maybe it's just part of the maze. Maybe it's something they do in here. And I need you to make, I know that you're trying to observe and perceive. I know you're trying to find these kids. And is there anything you want to do other than just use your perception to do that? Or you just want to make a perception roll?
Just a perception roll.
Okay. Go ahead and do that. And you're going to miss that one by one.
I missed it, yeah.
Okay. You see up ahead of you that there's what you've determined is probably one of those mirrors at a 45-degree angle, right? So that what you're seeing in it is down that hall to the left. So you're not seeing it. Normally it would show a reflection of you walking towards it, but this is probably showing you what's down the hall to the left, what it seems like to you. And you keep advancing that direction. And when you get there, you were confused, but you were almost right. You had it just exactly opposite. It's showing you what was down the hall to the right. It's a forced right turn, and you were seeing down that hall. And as you're approaching it, you do see like a flutter of shadows down there, but you can't determine what. I'll even go as far as to say that you're pretty certain there's some body down there. And I'm going to let you keep moving that direction unless you don't want to.
No, we'll go.
Okay. So you come around the corner. You know there was somebody down that direction. The odd thing is, you've got lanterns like every 10, 15 feet in here. It's fairly dark, but you can see everything. But down that way, there are no more lanterns. But the strangest thing about it is that the crosses marked on these mirrors have continued, but now there's not just one neatly placed in a corner. There's some in the middle, some off to the side. There's multiple crosses on each mirror. And then you start to, as you're advancing, it's getting darker this direction, and you're starting to see that there's other symbols drawn in here. And I'm going to go back over to Father Finn and let you decide how far you want to go down the dark hallway while we move back over to Father Finn.
Okay.
So, Father, yeah.
So having a conversation is weird, and she just asked if I can. The question was, can I help them get out of here? Right. So, rather than speak, I'm going to nod with a yes and take a knee and hold out my hand.
Okay.
And with my other hand, I'm holding my cross because things are starting to get weird.
It makes sense to you that the first thing that you should do is try to get on eye level with this child. And the verbal communication hasn't been working all that well because it's confusing as to who's speaking for some reason. So you see that very, very familiar face come to eye level with you and realize that it is indeed your face that you're looking into. And he's kind of nodding at you, but you're nodding too. And you feel like, at least in your perception, like you've exchanged bodies with this child. And she's reached out to you, and you've reached out to her, and you're kind of like holding hands there, but at least you found the little girl.
I don't know what I found.
Okay. And I'm just going to let you react to that and tell me what you think you're going to do, unless you want me to move back over to Haston while you give it a minute to think.
All right. Well, given all the Freaky Friday-ness, I'm gonna try to do what I would plan to do, is take the hand and then start to guide. Like, even though that means I'm the one extending, I'm no longer the one extending the hand, but taking the hand. I don't know.
Yeah,
Freaky
you're both
Friday.
holding the hands.
Yeah.
You can try and turn aside and go a direction. Are you going to try
That's the plan.
You're going to try to lead a direction. Are you
But
going
it's going to end up looking like the little girl's leading.
That's exactly right. And are you trying to go the direction that you came from, or further the direction you were going?
I'm going to try to backtrack. So
that makes logical sense.
it would in a normal environment.
Why wouldn't you try to do that? It makes perfect sense. I think you should. Okay. You do try to go back the direction you came. You know you had taken multiple lefts, and at least at first, you are able to take a right, and it does appear, as if you're in the embodiment of this little girl leading this grown priest down a hallway. And you do hear a deep voice come from, the man's voice. You hear your voice say, "I'm scared." But it's not you saying it.
Right.
And you then come to where you would expect to see a right turn, but there's actually a darkened end of the hallway at this spot. And
Yes.
hold on a second.
Okay.
I can make a check and a quick record here. Okay. And I'm going to move back over to Professor Dumont, and you're in a hallway that seems to be getting darker at the end, and a lot of crazy symbols are starting to appear on the mirrors at either side. There's really only, at this point, the choice to forge on ahead, stand still, and do something entirely different, or go back the way you came. But what do you have in mind?
I think I'm going to keep going. I know it's dark, but I'm going to keep going.
Okay. As it gets darker and darker, I do need you to make you're trying to remember something here, basically. I think that I'm going to let you make unless you have any special memory cues or anything, I'm just going to let you make an intelligence check with the negative modifier that I wait, you don't have a negative modifier as of yet.
Right.
That's going to be successful for you.
Yeah.
By I want to know exactly how successful real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be successful by 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. You notice here, I'm going to, this is worthy of emailing it to you yet again. I apologize, but it will only take me a moment because I know that I have to do it that way now. Um, eh, okay, I'm going to send that, and pretty soon you feel like you're going to be like, unless you want to walk backwards, you're going to be pretty much walking into darkness where you're not going to have any light to go by this direction. You can walk backwards and see the lit hall receding away from you if you prefer to walk backwards into the dark. But are you okay with walking forwards into the dark, or
Well,
you could strafe? I mean, I'm just saying, if you face forward and walk this direction, you're going to walk into the complete darkness.
well, I do have a flashlight that's on my list. I have 2 actually, a big one and a small one. The big one is in the car.
I would imagine.
So I would I'll pull out the flashlight, and I just got the email, so let me read what that is.
Yeah, I'm going to let you read that, and I'm going to move over to Father Finn here at this moment.
I'm going to continue just trying to find my way through at this point. I'm hoping probably for random luck, but I will also be yelling out in apparently a child voice for Dumont, so he's going to get creeped out if he hears that. But I will add, so I'll put some French on the end of it there and tell him to try to find me.
Okay. So that I don't forget to handle that, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I've tried to do my very best to keep you guys in the same timeline here so that this could work, and that Dumont is not going to have any trouble hearing at all that a little girl's voice yells out, "Professor Solomon, Professor Dumont." And what would it be? Es que me ayute? And it's can you help me? Can you hear me? Coming out in this little voice, but you recognize that it's French and that it's coming from your right hand side. But you're in the pitch black. That's going to happen right at this moment when you turn the light on. When you turn the light on, you see a beam of light coming towards you, like there's somebody standing there in front of you shining a flashlight at you. And you look down at your hand, but your hand's not there. You just see this beam of light coming towards you.
Okay. I will respond, I hear you, and then try
In
to
English or in French?
in French.
Okay. And little girl, you're going to hear you're going to hear that voice, and it also seems to be coming like from your right as well, like just the other side of the mirror. It's probably going to be somewhat arresting for both of you that you feel like you're separated by one mirror. There's like maybe a thin sheet of glass in between you.
Well, I mean, I know the side, so I'm going to continue down that way and like try to get around. And hopefully, there's a way to double back to that where the other side of where I'm hearing it.
Right. Okay. So you're going to try to get around it. You're moving back around, and
Since I'm a little girl, I can't just climb over an 8-foot wall.
no. Oh, are you going to go ahead and lead Father Finn that way?
Yeah.
You're not going to ditch him?
No. Let me ditch myself. I can't do that. I could be trapped in this body forever.
Okay. So you try to backtrack that way, and Dumont, you can hear the footsteps kind of.
Yeah. And like as I'm doing it, I'm just gonna keep tapping on the glass.
And you come around the corner, and as this time, even though you're kind of backtracking the direction that you just come from, but you come to a place where the hall ends in 45s like this, making a U-turn instead of ending in a straight turn like you've been accustomed to. You go around that corner and you see someone standing there. Like all you can really see is the flashlight beam lighting an area of the floor. By the way, all dirt floor in here, and there are footprints all over the place. But no one was particularly asking. But there were footprints, and unless you'd have to use some pretty significant tracking to be able to use that to find your own footprints or anything. But if it would be possible. Do you have any kind of a tracking skill, Father Finn?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. So you're looking there, and you see this flashlight showing at the ground and toward you, and you're walking up that direction, and then you notice the dirt there on the floor. You see those footprints shift right in front of you, as if somebody had kind of shifted their body weight right there. And you continue walking up, and you're going to come right into that space where maybe the invisible man is standing or something. And indeed, as you approach, you end up sort of bumping right into a sheet of glass. You were so close,
I was so good for so long.
but you can't quite reach where the footprints are. They're facing away from you. You can see the flashlight, and you can see those footprints, but that you can't. You've come to basically a dead end. You'd have to turn around and go another way.
All right, well, I'll have to do that, but I'm gonna knock on that window that on the where the light is on the other side to see if it turns towards and gets any closer.
Okay, and Dumont, you're gonna see standing in front of you. Comes right around the corner. There's Finn, and he's holding the hand of this little girl. And you now realize that you had just gotten disconcerted. You were looking, you had seen yourself in the mirror, and you're facing him, and he's standing there with a little girl. You guys have met again, but then Finn reaches up and knocks.
Finn does, or the girl does?
Oh, the little girl does. I apologize. Finn does. Finn does that. Reaches up and knocks on the glass.
So I can see them, but there's like a pane of glass between us.
It's a sheet of glass in between. Yeah. Your flashlight kind of reflects off of it.
I'll reach up and knock on the glass too.
Yeah, you can walk forward a few feet, and now you're just standing there. You can both knock on the glass, and it behaves as a normal sheet of glass.
I'll ask in French, have you seen the boy or the man?
You can hear him slightly muffled, not bad, because you can hear him over the wall, maybe better than you do through the glass, but you're just separate. Yeah, you can hear him. Have you seen the boy or the man? And now it does seem like it's Father Finn speaking.
Now I'll respond, no, I've seen no one but you. You're right in front of me.
Yeah, that's all working. You're just having a conversation. He's found the little girl, it appears. You recognize her.
I have no idea how to get out of this maze. And we still need to find the other kid and get out. Can we get some attention from the outside? Because I'm asking him, like, get some attention from the outside.
And at this moment, actually, I've been thinking that I want to get back to just make sure that I'm not completely shortchanging Neil and Joe. You guys are outside of the tent here. You've been observing the side and the back of the tent. Danforth has been observing the front of the tent. And nobody has noticed any more since that bump that Q noticed on the back of the tent. It does seem that you caught it at the moment that whatever happened. Nothing else seems to be significant. I'll let both of you make perception checks to see if you heard the little girl yelling in French.
No, not with the minus.
Okay. Oh, and Joe, did you roll that 8? Yeah, I think you did. So, you actually do. You hear that, and that's you're muted, but that's fine. I could hear you. I could see you say yes.
Yes, don't speak French though.
Right. But you actually
You know the name.
You do kind of clue in that that's a strange coincidence about the French, like that you're aware that some of your companions speak French, and so how odd. But for all you know, maybe the little girl that went in there was a little French girl. Who's to say? Is there anything that you two on the outside of this tent are going to try and do differently right now, or to intervene, or?
I mean, it's probably only been what, 5 minutes in real time.
I'm gonna say that it's been like a good 10 minutes or so outside this.
Not yet. I'd be getting a little antsy, but you know, if it's a big mirror tent, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy that somebody might be in a maze for 10 minutes. I don't think that you'd perceive it as odd or threatening. Okay, I'm gonna move back inside the tent because you guys are still in quite a puzzle here. You're still standing on the opposite sides of a pane of glass.
I'll say, we need to get out. We need and find the other kid. But I also like if we could get help from the outside, that'd be great. But I also don't want them moving around a lot because they got eyes on the whole thing. So we don't want to have everyone come in and then the rest of the people disappear. So if we can get out of here quickly, there's some way to get out of here. We need to find it. Even if it's just you, like if you can climb over and get to the edge of this thing and just cheat the maze and get out of here, I'll stay with the girl and keep her safe while I look for the boy.
Okay. I guess it's 8 foot tall though. I don't know.
You know, it's bright enough to climb that.
I'll give it a shot.
You hear some feet shuffling. Professor Dumont, you're going to hear the feet shuffling towards you from the darkness behind you. Just kind of coming your direction. You can tell that there's multiple feet. It's not just one person coming your way. Pretty soon they come enough into the light that Finn can see him behind you. I don't know, you might turn around. Or you turn around?
Yeah.
You turn around, and so now, Father Finn, you're seeing Dumont's back in front of you. Of course, because he turned around to see what was going there. Like maybe not his complete straight back, but the back of his head as he turns around. And you both recognize Sammy Jenkins, the town drunk from Excelsior Springs. And he's walking towards you, holding the hand of this little boy. That's the little boy that you came in here looking for.
Wow. Do you know the way out?
Oh, yeah. I know the way out.
Can you
Do
help
you
us
guys
out?
want to come with me? I think we should leave here.
Yes. I'll follow you.
Let's just go. Hey, we probably all ought to just hold hands. And the little boy actually reaches out to hold your hand.
Okay.
Come on. Okay. You take his hand. And Sammy turns around and looks because Father Finn's not following and says, "Are you coming?"
I'll tap on the glass.
There's no glass there.
Not anymore.
So
Okay, then
he waves with his free hand.
Okay, then yes, I'm following.
Okay. And the little girl reaches up to take Dumont's other hand.
Okay.
So you're all kind of following Sammy, just in a chain there, and he takes you around several different corners. He seems to be very confident, and you start to see very familiar things. The hallway with all the crazy symbols drawn in it is one of the first things that you see. You feel like you're backtracking through the place where there were several crosses, and then you backtrack to an area where there's several different T's in the hallway. You get dizzy and confused, and then you're coming into a very, very bright area. Every reason to believe that you might be coming to the exit, and your eyes have just gotten so accustomed to this darker area that you can't see anything except for just bright light. And Sammy's leading you that way. Is anyone doing anything different other than just letting Sammy lead you that way?
No.
I'm looking around as we go because there was the man that came in after them, so I am keeping an eye out for him. So as we cross intersections, I'm looking both ways.
Okay, and you're going to want to make. I'll let both of you make a perception check. I mean, you're holding hands. It's not like you can get lost in this scenario, and see if as you're coming closer and closer to the beginning, if you catch a glimpse of him, and it looks like
No.
Dumont's. No,
Neither of us.
Gotcha. Neither of you seem to catch anything that you think is a significant clue. Maybe a shadow rustling around a corner, but nothing that was definitive. And then you head into this very, very brightly lit area, holding hands. So I think that like the little girl's last, and then Father Finn, and the little boy, and then or who was?
I think it's Sammy, the boy, Dumont,
Sammy,
the girl, me.
Dumont, girl, you. That's right. Okay. So the only person that's not holding the only one of you two that's got a hand free actually would be Father Finn. And you head into this really brightly lit area, and it's completely blinding as you come out. And very soon you find yourself walking back out into the carnival grounds, sort of heading toward the ball toss. You look to your left and you see that Danforth, or you look to your right and you see that Danforth is out here. You seem to have escaped from the Hall of Mirrors. You don't see your other companions immediately, but you recognize Danforth immediately. And as you turn your attention back in front of you, you see that that black fellow who followed the kids into that place has actually got one of each of them by the hand and is walking away from you, holding hands with these kids. And they seem to be very willingly going with him. And you look over and see that Father Finn is holding hands with Dumont, and that you are now separated from the children, but you have successfully reached outside. And of course, you both just kind of go, that was weird, like kind of that strange, you let go, I'm sure. And that's the state of things. Danforth starts to kind of walk towards you. He takes it after the man and the children, but Danforth is walking your way.
And no Sammy Jenkins.
So no Sammy Jenkins at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's that about? And he kind of like looks at your hands that you just let go of. A little bit scared in there.
I'm not sure, and part of me feels like I have to go back in.
It was very confusing.
I guess so. Looks like you guys are a lot more confused than I've ever seen you before. So what's the plan here? And he looks over his shoulder, and you guys are standing there in front of the tent, and the boy and the girl are walking away with that fellow.
Outside the maze, like they left the maze and they're going somewhere else, and they seem to be willingly going.
That's right. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the map just to give you a little bit better idea. I'm not going to move every last person to just sort of give you the clue of who's where here. Oh, I'm not sharing this with you, or am I? I probably should. It's easier if I share it to see it, Window. So your little group is standing right here in front of the hall of mirrors that you just came out of. And I'm going to use 2 to represent the kids walking away with the unknown man. And they're just walking very calmly this direction. And you guys are having your conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should follow.
Yeah.
I liked how it zoomed there at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. They sort of disappear. Yeah, I mean, you can head that way. They're not trying to escape you or anything.
Yeah, and I don't even know what to think at this point. It's like, what's real? Like it could be drugs, it could be whatever, but I'm gonna hold on to my cross and say a prayer and for guidance. That's for sure.
I guess I will go ahead, and since we're all kind of walking that way now, I'm gonna put. Well, I don't know that we all are. What I get that Finn and Dumont are walking that way, and I'm going to go ahead and make Grim and Q exist again too. You guys were over here at the Hall of Mirrors, looking at the back of it. Now, Grim, you're going to have a pretty good chance of seeing Danforth walking up to greet them. He'd probably even like give you a head nod or a wave as he goes that way. So you have no trouble knowing that there's action up that direction. I assume you're going to want to go that way. Is that right?
They're mute. Yeah, I'll get together with everybody to see what went on.
Are you going to signal Q? Because you could see each other behind here.
Yeah, I'll point to the front as I start working.
Just making sure that I'm not ditching anybody or not giving them a chance. And Q, you're just going to go. I just want to make sure that everyone's kind of.
Yep, I'll follow behind.
Okay, let me grab Q. I don't know that we necessarily need to establish a formal marching order here or anything. You guys are just following. So I'm going to move everybody together into a formation that I can handle. And that makes sense to me. And if anyone sees anything wrong with it, they're like that. Just, oh, it's 10:30 already? Okay. I guess that we probably better shut it down here.
Yeah, before it gets too deep.
Yeah. This is actually a great place for us to stop. I'm glad. I don't have any prepared closing notes for this moment that we've happened to arrive at here.
I think it's good to leave it in the air since it's so trippy and weird.
Yeah, plenty to think about for sure. Is there anything that you guys wanted to say or do before we call it a night?
No, that was good.
I think it went really well. I was impressed by like all the choices you guys made, and you didn't ruin my story, but you gave me a chance to do some really fun stuff that I didn't know whether or not would happen. Thanks for not ruining my story.
Let's just let 2 more kids get abducted on our watch and just ignore the whole thing.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I guess I'm going to let you guys go because it's late for me too. So
I was just waiting for someone to get pissed off and just pulling out the pistol and just blowing away all the mirrors.
Right. Let's just blow them away. I was wondering if somebody was going to do that. There's a plan for that. So Like, you guys will never know what the plan is.
I didn't have a gun, and I had
Well, now I'm going back. I'm going in.
guns
I gotta break
blazing.
stuff.
That's great. Well, I just
57 years of bad luck.
God, that would be a lot of bad luck, wouldn't it? God dang it! I can't get this thing back to normal so that I can. So that I can't even hang up on this one. There we go. Doesn't make any damn sense at all. I'm getting rid of that one. All right. And I guess that's it. I can't give any more away.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, that was fun, man. Well, I guess we can work out offline when we're meeting again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we lost Joe, which is fine. Calendar. Let me see if it's like I have it on a repeating cadence for every 3 weeks, but I don't know. The 14th would normally be 14th of March would be the normal. Of course, it's Thursday. They all are. So let's assume that's what we're doing, but I'll catch up with everybody like a week before that and make sure
Okay.
it's realistic.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
Man.
I'll send you all the recording.
Cool. Yeah, that
Right.
was fun.
Awesome.
All right. See
Later.
you guys later.